Chapter 761. With the Heavenly Lake's spirit veins unobstructed, the sacred mountain would benefit greatly in the future. The status of the sacred mountain would also change. They would also have to face an even more violent storm. However, what Lu Qin had to face was even more terrifying than the sacred mountain. After bidding farewell to Mistress and the others, Lu Qin once again embarked on his journey. Walking in the forest, Lu Qin could feel that the surrounding spiritual energy was much denser than before. However, this increase was still incomparable to the increase he felt at the bottom of the lake. The benefits of the spirit veins are really great. Lu Qin couldn't help but sigh. 3 million spiritual energy points in 30 days. There were 7 countries in the 5th layer of heaven and countless sections. Every sect had their own spirit veins. Restart the 5th layer of heaven only gave him a quest, but it didn't tell him where the other 4 spirit veins were. It should be in some sects with a long history. Lu Qin guessed. Sects with a long history. There seem to be a lot of them. Damn it, I feel like I'm looking for a needle in a haystack. At night, Lu Qin followed the instructions and found a small stream to sleep. Speaking of which, in the past 9 days, not to mention other abilities, Lu Qin's ability to survive in the wild had improved a lot. After Little Min and Little Green finished setting up the campsite, they brought the Little Furball, Big Yellow, to search for herbs nearby. Lu Qin was fishing by the stream. Last time, he was transferred to a small golden carp and was given a mysterious pearl. If it wasn't for that pearl, he would have been turned into a part of the egg by Magical Beast Sovereign. I don't know if Magical Beast Sovereign has returned to the Magical Beast Nest. If it really went back, it would be troublesome. With my current strength, I definitely can't go to that place. When I can go there, it might have already grown up. Thinking of this troublesome boss, Lu Qin felt a lot of pressure. It doesn't matter. It's getting stronger, so I have to keep getting stronger. Also, I have to look for the spirit veins. Only when I have enough strength will I have the opportunity to come into contact with more ancient sects. Increasing his strength was the safest and most effective strategy. Yensun gave Lu Qin a map of the Sacred Mountain area. The Sacred Mountain area was much larger than the Green Dragon Gate. Without using Soul Body as one, it would take at least a month to get out. The Sacred Mountain is so big, and this is only a small place in the Eastern Peak Nation. Then how big is the 5th heaven in the Eastern Peak Nation? Damn, is the 5th heaven really a complete planet? He still had to use a mount. Oh right, we can use the Taizu. As Lu Qin's understanding of the 5th layer of heaven deepened, he understood that the extracted items could be used directly without the need for soul-body fusion. It consumed a lot of spiritual energy, but using the spiritual energy storm could make up for it. Looking at the map carefully, Lu Qin locked onto Wu Bangsheng, the largest city in the Sacred Mountain region. Right now, Lu Qin had 12,450 cash withdrawal coupons on him. The Azure Dragon clan had a total of 9,450 cash withdrawal coupons. Lu Qin had already used up 2,000 cash withdrawal coupons, but Yensun had given him 5,000 cash withdrawal coupons. It could be seen that Yensun really valued Lu Qin. Lu Qin had wanted to add points to the Heavenly Lake Conference, but now that it was no longer necessary, he was ready to use them all. He spent 3,000 points to increase his spiritual energy to 9,000 points. Promotion to 9-star Wilderness Cultivator. Ranking, below 8 million. Breaking through to Cultivator requires 2,000 points to extract points. Ah, I need to extract points to break through? Lu Qin felt a little heartache. But since he was going to break through anyway, he decided to endure the pain. 2,000 it is. Breakthrough. 2,000 points. Lu Qin felt a slight heat in his lower abdomen. Then the heat spread to every part of his body. He felt indescribably comfortable. Then, a crisp sound came from his joints and bones. Damn, it feels like my whole body is being massaged. Ah, my waist. Half an hour later, the breakthrough was finally completed. Lu Qin was still immersed in the comfortable feeling just now. Is this a breakthrough? It feels like my whole body has been transformed. He took a deep breath and felt comfortable all over. Congratulations, you have completed the breakthrough. Your cultivation level has been raised to 1-star Wilderness Cultivator. Current ranking, Below 7,500,000. There are still 7,500,000? Are there so many level 5 experts? Lu Chen quickly realized that after reaching the cultivator realm, every level required 5,000 points of spiritual energy. Damn, the increase is too fierce. I thought it would only take 2,000 points. He had already used 5,000 points of the extraction points. He was left with 7,450 points. It was not worth it to add more points of spiritual energy. If I change it to 3 dimensions, the remaining extraction points can add 22,350 points of attributes. It's better to add some other attributes. Let's add 3 dimensions. I feel that there will be a lot of fights in the future. In the end, Lu Chen's strength, agility, and physique all reached around 11,000 points. It still can't compare to my war soul. I have to think of a way to get more extraction points. 10,000 miles away, in a dark, dense forest. The vegetation here was lush and the forest was shrouded in mist. Not far away, a large group of sky demon soldiers were guarding a mine. There were people constantly pushing out mining carts from the mine. The carts were filled with unprocessed spirit stones. This was a spirit stone mine. Although spirit stones were generally regarded as a form of currency, on the other hand, they were a natural mineral that contained spirit chi. It was just that the spirit chi in spirit stones dissipated very slowly. Extracting spirit chi from spirit stones was 100 times more difficult than extracting spirit chi from spirit veins. Therefore, basically no one used spirit stones as a source of spirit chi. In a haystack not far away, a black shadow was curled up in the dark. Its body blended into the shadows of the surrounding trees, making it difficult to notice even if one approached it. Its scarlet eyes were like wild fruits in the forest, unnoticeable as well. Not long after, a sky demon worker came nearby to relieve himself. Sigh. How nice would it be if all these spirit stones were mine? I'd be rich. The man was daydreaming. After all, it was a crime punishable by death to keep spirit stones. Moreover, these spirit stones required a series of complicated processing before they could be turned into spirit stone currency, something he definitely could not do. A cold wind blew past, and the man could not help but shiver. What evil wind is this? Why is it so cold? The man was done, and was about to pull up his pants and leave. Unwittingly, he saw that the 2 wild fruits in front of him were especially large. Red from the mountain? Why would there be such fruits in this place? When he looked more closely, he realized that they were not wild fruits. After all, the wild fruits were like a pair of eyes that blinked once. In fact, the pair of eyes did blink once. Before he could call for help, the sky demon was already dragged into the grass. Not long after, the man wobbled out of the bushes. He turned around to look at the bushes behind him and smiled. In the bushes, there was a skinless corpse lying there. Spirit stone mine, ha ha. I'm coming. 3 days later, the sky demon upper echelons received frightening news. One of their spirit stone mines in the East Peak Nation had been attacked. 113 cultivators, 478 cultivators, and over 1,000 civilians had died. Their deaths were extremely gruesome. Their bodies had been sucked dry, leaving just over 2,000 human skins at the scene. What was even more frightening was that the spirit stone mines that had been mined had all disappeared. Chapter 762. Half a month later, Lu Chen felt that he was becoming more and more like a wild cultivator, living in the mountains and forests all day. Looking at the magnificent city in front of him, Lu Chen was so excited that he almost cried. I'm finally in the city. Lu Chen excitedly walked towards the city. However, the strange thing was that Wu Bangcheng was such a big city, but there were not many people who really entered the city. On the contrary, there were many people gathered around the city, and it had even formed a large-scale trading area. There were people selling food, herbs, and equipment. It was very lively. It's more lively outside the city than inside? What the hell? Lu Chen walked into the market and looked around. Friend, do you want to buy clothes? A hawker called out to Lu Chen. Lu Chen walked over. He did not lack clothes. Wild Blood Sword God, Lonely Shadow Fishing, Devil King descends, and there was also a set of couple clothes that he had not had the chance to wear. After all, He had found someone to wear couple clothes with. He was mainly here to understand the situation. Friend, I've been paying attention to you for a long time. You've been walking around here for a long time, buying a little bit of everything. However, it seems that your mind is not on buying things. I have information here. Do you want to buy it? Lu Chen raised his head and glanced at the hawker. This hawker looked delicate and had a good temperament. After listening to his words, it seemed that his observation skills were also good. He did not expect that he was just setting up a stall outside the city. Do you want to enter the city? The hawker asked in a low voice. Yes. However, I see that very few people enter the city. Why is that? Lu Chen asked. The hawker looked at Lu Chen with a smile, and did not speak. Lu Chen helplessly took out 10 spirit stones from his backpack, and handed them over. The hawker smiled and said, Wu Bangqing only serves experts above the level of cultivator. The hawker stood up and revealed the badge on his chest. He was a 9-star cultivator. People like us cannot enter the city. We can only set up a stall outside the city. Lu Chen looked back at the city gate. Sure enough, those who entered the city gate seemed to be cultivators. Then I should be able to enter. The peddler didn't say anything else. It was obvious that he had to pay more. Lu Chen frowned. Little brother, you earn money too easily. Information is also very valuable. Lu Chen shook his head and gave him another 10 spirit stones. Oh, let me see your badge. Lu Chen lowered his head and straightened his clothes, revealing the badge on his chest. 1-star cultivator. That's not right. You are a 1-star cultivator? It can't be right. There are wild cultivators. Lu Chen shook his head helplessly. What did he mean by wild? Could it be that there were domesticated ones? When the peddler saw Lu Chen's expression, he remembered that he had already received the money. After thinking for a moment, he said, Normally you should be able to go in. However, this is a special period, and they might test your strength. You also know that the cultivation level only depends on spiritual power, but a person's strength doesn't only depend on spiritual power. Some people blindly increase their spiritual power, causing their physical body to become very weak. In fact, they are strong on the outside but weak on the inside. Because there are all kinds of tests in the sect, the disciples of the sect will often raise the 3 dimensions. However, if you are an unaffiliated cultivator and no one cares about you, you will definitely use the cash extraction scroll casually. No one will know if you are only after the cultivation level, and ignore the other attributes. It didn't matter what the test was, but Lu Chen was curious about what special period it was now. Also, why did Wu Bangqing only allow strong people to enter? After he raised these 2 questions, he took the initiative to pay 20 spirit stones. The peddler nodded in satisfaction. Wu Bangqing's city lord Shang, Wu has reached the level of a great cultivator. In his opinion, cultivators entering the city are tarnishing Wu Bangqing's reputation. Then Wu Bangqing's city lord is holding a martial arts competition to find a spouse. I don't need to say more about what it means to be able to climb up this big tree. There is an endless stream of applicants, so the requirements are stricter than usual. A rare unaffiliated cultivator, like you, will definitely have to be checked. Lu Chen finally understood. What does the martial arts competition have to do with me? Oh right, are there any cash extraction scrolls in the city? 10 spirit stones. Those who can enter the city are all strong people. The demand for cash extraction scrolls is very high. If you are lucky, you should be able to find some. However, there are many people buying them. If you want to buy them, it depends on whether you are lucky or not. Lu Chen nodded. The information he wanted to know was more or less clear. Just as Lu Chen was about to leave, the peddler suddenly called out to him. Hey friend, wait. How did you get so many cash extraction scrolls? How did you become a cultivator without joining a sect? Lu Chen smiled slightly and didn't say anything. The peddler was stunned. He didn't expect this guy to learn so quickly. However, if he knew how to get cash extraction scrolls, it was worth it to spend some spirit stones. After all, he was already a 9-star cultivator. If he could get some cash extraction scrolls, he would break through soon. 10 spirit stones. Lu Chen shook his head. My information is worth more than this. Lu Chen asked ordinary questions, But the peddler asked sensitive questions. Naturally, the price was different. The price was increased to 30 spirit stones. Lu Chen smiled slightly. I bought it with spirit stones. Of course, he wouldn't say that he got the cash extraction scrolls by destroying the Azure Dragon clan. He also wouldn't say that Yen Sun gave him 5,000 cash extraction scrolls. That's a lot of money. How did you get so many spirit stones? Lu Chen smiled but didn't say anything. Another 30 spirit stones. I earned it at the 4th layer. Damn. The peddler almost cursed. He thought that he had some special way to get rich, but it turned out that he was at the 4th layer. Thanks. Lu Chen earned 20 spirit stones and happily walked to the city gate. As soon as he walked to the gate, sure enough, 2 burly soldiers stopped Lu Chen with their guns. A 1-star cultivator? Ertzi, are my eyes playing tricks on me? There are even cultivators who are wild? Really? Hey kid, you didn't use all your cash extraction scrolls on spiritual power, did you? For the young miss, it seems that there are people who are willing to do anything. Lu Chen shook his head. I'm not here to participate in the marriage contest. I just want to go into the city to buy something. I don't care what you do. The city lord only respects people with strength. If you only have the name of a cultivator and don't have the strength, then I'm sorry, but don't even think about sneaking into Wu Bang City. Lu Chen was already prepared. He said indifferently, okay, it's just a test. Go ahead. The guards had already taken out the strength testing stone. Lu Chen was just about to test it. At this time, a large group of people and horses came from afar. Although it was called a horse group, the people in the group were not riding horses. They were all white unicorns. Unicorns were considered a rare mount. This group actually gathered 70 to 80 of them, and even used them to pull carriages. They were really rich. This group of people attracted countless gazes. Many people gathered on both sides of the official road and whispered. There was a wide carriage in the group. There were curtains around the carriage. It's Lord Ye's son. The number 1 genius of the sacred mountain. Lord Ye's son? He's also here? He has been in the 5th layer of heaven for 3 years. At the age of 24, he is already a 9-star cultivator. This cultivation speed is really shocking. It is said that the strength of his battle soul is very terrifying. That is to say, his cultivation limit will be very high in the future. It seems that even the royal family of Dongyu country is paying attention to him. He is really a dragon among men. Lu Chen frowned slightly. 9-star cultivator? 1 realm higher than him. A cultivator already had a spiritual power of 5,000. All his spirit stones added up could only be upgraded to a 5-star or 6-star cultivator. The problem now was that sometimes even if he had money, he couldn't buy a cash extraction scroll. 9-star cultivator, this speed was really fast. Chapter 763. The people in front are still not giving way. You dare to block the path of the son of Lord Yi, are you tired of living? A 3-star cultivator rode his unicorn to the city gate. I'll give you 10 seconds to get out of my way. Lu Chen frowned. He wasn't the one who wanted to block the path, but this person was shouting at him fiercely. The soldier hurriedly apologized. Sorry, Mr. Hong. We'll make him give way to the son of Lord Yi. You get out of my way. Lu Chen was in a good mood today, but after encountering such a situation, his good mood instantly vanished. Hey, you guys asked me to test, right? Besides, the city gate is so big, I can't block it all. You dare to block the path of the son of Lord Yi? Look at yourself in the mirror. A 1-star cultivator dares to be so arrogant. If you don't get out of my way, don't blame me for crippling you. Mr. Hong glared at Lu Chen. Get out. The other party's attitude was getting worse. Lu Chen was a little annoyed. He had a good temper towards most people, but to be so unreasonable and humiliate him repeatedly, Lu Chen wasn't someone to be trifled with. If you guys talk nicely, I might give way to you. But if you guys are so rude and full of shit, then I'm sorry, I won't give way to you. You dare to speak to me like that, very well, I'll kill you now. Mr. Hong's eyes were already filled with killing intent. Jiutian indeed respected strength. The higher the heaven domain, the more obvious this was. He was just blocking the path, but the stronger side actually wanted to kill him. Lu Chen's eyes instantly turned cold. Kill me? Sure. Try me if you can. Who cares about the son of Lord Yi? Wait here obediently. When I enter, you guys can move. Otherwise, I'll break your legs. Most people who saw the son of Lord Yi would be scared to the side. If they were scolded again, they would be scared to death. However, this stranger stood in the middle of the city gate and looked at the 100-man line indifferently. There was no fear on his face. Suddenly, Lu Chen's performance attracted a large number of people's attention. What's going on? You dare to challenge the son of Lord Yi? That kid must be tired of living. Look at his rank, a 1-star wild cultivator? Is he still joining a sect? No wonder you're so arrogant. He's still too young and impetuous. At this time, anyone with a brain would know that he shouldn't be impulsive. He should have just stepped aside. Why did he have to throw his life away? You sure talk big. Who in the entire Eastern Peak Nation would dare to stop the Yi clan's team? On top of the city wall, a group of people were watching the situation at the city gate from afar. The leader was a middle-aged man with a stocky build. He was Wu Bang City's city lord, 5-star grand cultivator Xianzhen. Although Wu Bangqing was located in the Holy Mountain region, it was not under the jurisdiction of the Holy Mountain. Only the Eastern Peak Nation could have such a large city. Because of this, Xianzhen's strength was stronger than Yan Sun. City Lord, should we kill that wild cultivator? Xianzhen's subordinate asked. Xianzhen waved his hand. No need. That kid is a bit strange. Wild cultivators are rare. If he doesn't have some tricks up his sleeve, he shouldn't be able to reach the realm of a cultivator. I heard that the son of Lord Yi has already broken through the realm of a cultivator. If there's a chance, I'll see if that kid is qualified to be my son-in-law. The subordinate said. City Lord, a mere wild cultivator shouldn't be enough for the son of Lord Yi to personally take action. Hong Yuan and the others are more than enough to deal with him. Xianzhen smiled. Fengshi, your news is a bit outdated. Oh, why do you say that? A few days ago, I heard that a rare genius appeared in the Holy Mountain's Heavenly Lake Conference. The revival of spiritual energy in the Holy Mountain region might be related to that guy. I heard about it too, but I don't understand. What does this have to do with today's matter? Xianzhen smiled. I've seen the image of that genius. That person is that kid at the city gate. What? Xianzhen smiled. Geniuses have a characteristic, and that is absolute confidence in themselves. Too many successes have made them accustomed to their success. However, if two geniuses of the same level meet, then one of them will definitely taste the taste of failure. This is a very interesting thing. Nameless, that kid definitely has something extraordinary. As for Yi Long, he's known as the #1 genius of the Holy Mountain. Then, when these two geniuses meet, who will continue to be a genius and who will fall? Fengshi looked at the city lord's back. The city lord was famous for his martial prowess. He was so shocked that he was infatuated. His strength was unfathomable. The two geniuses meeting at the city gate naturally aroused his interest. Nameless versus Yi Long. This conflict might not lose to the martial arts competition that was about to begin. While speaking, a fragrance came from behind. Xianzhen turned his head slightly. On his determined face, Lu Chen had a gentle smile. Lan, are you here? The person who came was Xianzhen's daughter, Xianlan. Father, isn't there a good show to watch? Yes, I'm here to watch. I actually hope that the two of them will have a chance to fight. Xianlan stood beside her father. Her long hair fluttered in the wind. She gently parted her hair and looked at the scene below. He's really a 1-star wild cultivator. Father, this kind of person can make Yi Long fight? You're thinking too much. Only his daughter would dare to speak to Xianzhen like this. Silly girl, that kid isn't as simple as he looks. He's nameless. Nameless? The nameless from the Heavenly Lake Conference? Xianlan frowned. She had already heard of Nameless' performance in the Heavenly Lake Conference. Elemental insulator, but his combat ability is abnormally terrifying. This is their evaluation of him. Xianzhen said. At their level, their cultivation level is far from the battle soul's strength. Thus, as long as they use soul-body fusion, Their cultivation level isn't that important. That way they will have a fight. Xianlan didn't doubt this point. Indeed, it's an interesting competition. SSS father, don't tell me that the conflict below was deliberately arranged by you. Xianjin smiled. Haha. Actually, I wanted to help them. But who knew that these two arrogant people would have a conflict without my help the moment they met? Of course, this is for the best. We can just watch the tigers fight from the other side of the river. At this moment, Lu Chen stood alone in front of the city gate. A group of carriages stopped in front of him. Someone had already reported the situation to the person in the carriage. A faint voice came from within the carriage. Do you still need to ask for my permission? Kill him. The voice of the person in the carriage wasn't loud, and his emotions were calm. However, the surrounding people heard it clearly. The son of Lord Yi wanted to kill that young man. Lu Chen frowned slightly. Indeed, a human's life was like grass. For such a small matter, he wanted to kill him as if he was killing an animal. When Hong Yuan received the order, he had already dismounted from his horse. As he walked, he pulled out a silver spear. Kid, I'm sorry. It's too late for you to regret it now. Since the young master has spoken, it means that you're already a dead man. Lu Chen snorted. What did the previous one say? The grass on the grave is already 3 meters tall. Chapter 764. The two of them were ready to fight at any moment. Hong Yuan narrowed his eyes. That guy hadn't used soul-body unification yet. Kid, you're still not using soul-body unification? Very well. Then I'll make sure you can't use it until you die. Soul-body unification. Hong Yuan had already activated his skill, and his attributes instantly soared. Rainbow pierces the sun. Hong Yuan had already turned into a stream of light, shooting toward Lu Chen. He was indeed a melee fighter. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. In one situation, Lu Chen didn't have to enter soul-body unification, and that was when he had the chance to get close. He was confident that Hong Yuan wouldn't have the chance to wake up if he used stun. He didn't just need to deal with Hong Yuan now. There might be many hidden talents in the Yi family team, so it was safest to hide his true strength until the very end. Lu Chen saw the few figures above the city gate from the corner of his eye. To be able to stand above Wu Bangqing's city gate loft so openly, their identities were obvious. Even if they weren't the city lord, they must be the core figures of Wu Bangqing. When those people saw that they had no intention of stopping them, Lu Chen had no choice but to be extra careful. He wouldn't reveal his true strength until the very last moment. Look, that guy hasn't used soul-body unification yet. Is he crazy? He's just a cultivator with a huge gap in strength with a battle soul. What is he trying to do? He's dead meat. Hong Yuan was already in front of Lu Chen. Lu Chen took a sidestep and quickly shifted his position with the triple door. Triple door. I'm all ears. Using the triple door again, Hong Yuan was directly dragged into it and teleported in front of Lu Chen. You think you're invincible after activating soul-body unification? Lu Chen snorted. Tiger descends the mountain. However, just as Lu Chen's fist was about to land on Hong Yuan, a strong push pushed both of them away at the same time. Lu Chen quickly changed his footsteps and barely managed to stand still. Hong Yuan, who was under the effect of attention and was suddenly pushed away by this force, lost his balance and crashed into the thick city wall. Lu Chen could not help but raise his head to look in the direction of the power. At this moment, an old man, 2 men and 1 woman, 3 young people were slowly walking over from the crowd. Young man, why are you so hot-tempered? Isn't it a little too hasty to fight to the death over such a small matter? Lu Chen was shocked. This old man had destroyed his listen respectfully from 100 meters away. Moreover, he hadn't sensed anything when he had attacked him. What shocked Lu Chen even more was that this old man also didn't use soul-body unification. In other words, this person was definitely an expert. The old man's gaze finally landed on Lu Chen's body. To be able to withstand my purple chi from the east and still maintain your balance, young man, when the purple chi from the east attacked just now, you roughly figured out the direction of my spirit chi? Lu Chen was stunned for a moment. Just now he had reacted almost instinctively. But now that he thought about it carefully, he had indeed reacted according to the direction of the other party's spirit chi. It seems you already have some understanding of spiritual aura. The old man faintly smiled at Lu Chen before his gaze once again fell on the badge on his chest. 1-star wild cultivator? You still haven't entered a school? Lu Chen nodded and said, I'm used to being free. A sturdy young man behind the old man suddenly said, brother, we really regret not meeting earlier. If I had met you earlier, I wouldn't have had to enter this rotten old man's tutelage and be controlled by him every day. Hey master, can I withdraw from the school now? I want to wander the world with this brother and cultivate freely. Lu Chen was momentarily stunned. What was this old man's identity? His disciple also had some personality. Before Lu Chen could react, several silhouettes had already appeared on top of the city wall in a flash. The middle-aged man in the lead laughed and said, Ha 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 ha, Luo Chen. You don't know how many people want to enter your Xianqing school, let alone become your master's inner disciple. You're clearly taking advantage of others, yet you're still pretending to be obedient. Who knows how envious other people would be if they heard this? After he finished speaking, the man walked in front of the old man and politely cupped his fists. Great cultivator Bo Fan unexpectedly also brought a disciple here. I Xianzhen, am truly overwhelmed by your favor. The old man smiled. City Lord is too modest. Who doesn't know City Lord's daughter, Xianlan, has boundless potential? Marrying Xianlan would be like ascending to heaven in a single bound. The curtain of the carriage, which had been motionless until now, was lifted and an extraordinarily handsome young man walked out. In a flash, the man appeared in front of everyone. Yilong greets City Lord Xianzhen, Miss Xianlan, Senior Bo, Senior Marshal Brother Luochen, Senior Marshal Brother Luokong, Junior Marshal Sister Luoshui. Yilong feels extremely guilty for disturbing the seniors. Bo Fan looked at Yilong, 1-star great cultivator. Yilong, you broke through again. TSK, you're indeed the #1 genius of the Holy Mountain. Senior Bo, you flatter me. You're really overpraising me. In front of Senior Marshal Brothers and Junior Marshal Sister Luoshui, the title of the #1 genius of the Holy Mountain is really not worth mentioning. Lu Chen frowned. Was this the world of the strong? He seemed to have suddenly become redundant. The only problem was that they were all old acquaintances and were chatting enthusiastically. Should he still fight or not? Speaking of which, it turned out that Xianzhen was the city lord of Wu Bang City, and the girl behind him was the main character of this time's joust for marriage. She was indeed stunning and didn't lose out to Yan Ling marrying such a beautiful wife and having a powerful and influential father-in-law. It was no wonder that experts from all over the world would come over. While these city lords, seniors, and #1 geniuses were chatting enthusiastically, a girl curiously walked in front of Lu Chen. This woman was the junior marshal sister Luoshui mentioned by Yilong. She also seemed to be very strong. You're nameless? She asked straightforwardly. Yes. Why did the spirit chi in the heavenly lake suddenly increase? What did you see at the bottom of the heavenly lake? Master said that the 5th heaven might change. Is that true? This woman was really direct. Furthermore, she asked several questions in a row. Unfortunately, Lu Chen had an innate immunity to beautiful women. Even if Luo Shui was a beauty, there was no need for him to tell her everything since she wasn't familiar with him. How would I know? Luo Shui thought for a moment and nodded. That's true. After all, you're just a small cultivator. It's good enough that you're still alive. Sai, I've seen the projection stone of your performance in the day chasing competition. Other than being a little wretched, your performance was not bad. Lu Chen was speechless. What did she mean by other than being a little wretched? Speaking of which, he hadn't been serious at all during the day chasing competition. My master seems to have a good opinion of you. Are you also here for the joust for marriage? Another question came. Furthermore, it was completely unrelated to the previous condition. This woman's thoughts were rather jumpy. Lu Chen couldn't be bothered to talk to her anymore. He coughed dryly and attracted the attention of the group of big shots. I say, are you going to fight or not? Yilong's gaze swept across Lu Chen. The expression on his face was completely different from before. Since Senior Bu has spoken, I'll make an exception and let you off today. However, since you're here for the joust for marriage, you'd better pray that you don't meet me on the stage. Lu Chun snorted coldly. Sorry, I'm not interested in the joust for marriage. Xianzhen suddenly turned around and looked at Lu Chun. The battle that he had been looking forward to didn't happen. It was a pity, but there was still a way to salvage the situation. Nameless, if I'm not wrong, you should be here to buy cash withdrawal tickets. However, I'm sorry to tell you that there are no cash withdrawal tickets in the city. However, you should have seen that those who can participate in the joust for marriage are all top-notch geniuses. If you want cash withdrawal tickets, I'll give you a suggestion. That is to participate in the joust for marriage. If you win, you'll get 10,000 cash withdrawal tickets. Lu Chun frowned slightly. This city lord was a little interesting. Chapter 765. Winning a game for 10,000 yuan in cash coupons. This condition was very attractive to Lu Chun. If he added thinking points at the same time, 10,000 points would be enough to raise his cultivation level by 1 level. City Lord Xian, are you sure you have enough cash coupons? Lu Chun smiled, implying that he could make Xianzhen go bankrupt. I don't have much, but you can win at least 3 matches. I will arrange the matches. 3 matches would be 30,000. This kind of bet could be said to be a huge gamble. Xianzhen's additional request was not excessive. It would prevent Lu Chun from going up to deal with a few people who wanted to join in the fun. Lu Chun nodded. Sure, but I have a condition. Oh, what condition? I won't marry your daughter, Lu Chun said. Xianlan stared at Lu Chun. Was she that bad? Did this guy deliberately add such a clause? Hey, Nameless, what do you mean? You make it sound like I'm forcing you to marry me. Look at yourself. You're an elemental insulator. Do you think I'll like you? Lu Chun smiled. It's a martial arts competition for a spouse. Can't I marry you if I win? Of course not. Xianlan said angrily. What kind of martial arts competition is that? Here, the martial arts competition is just to show off your strength. As for whether you can pass me in the end, that's another story. Lu Chun blinked. So this was the rule. It seemed to be different from the martial arts competition for a spouse that he knew. Perhaps the customs were different. After all, he didn't know which planet she was from. If that was the case, Lu Chun didn't have to worry. Xianlan didn't seem to have any feelings for him. After all, his looks were average, and the news of him being an elemental insulator seemed to have spread. All right, that's for the best. City Lord Xian, can I enter the city now? Xianzhen took out an invitation and handed it to Lu Chun. Yes, this is the invitation for the martial arts competition for a spouse. It will start in 5 days. Come find me when the time comes. I'll assign you an opponent. Lu Chun took the invitation and turned to enter Wu Bangcheng. Looking at Lu Chun's retreating figure, Xianlan pouted. Yanling told me that this guy is especially annoying, and it's true. How hateful. How dare you embarrass me in front of so many people? Nameless, it's impossible for me to like you. Don't flatter yourself. Lu Chun heard the woman behind him yelling at him. It seemed like he was being despised again. But it didn't matter. He didn't care. Although it was a little embarrassing for her to say that he wouldn't marry Xianlan in front of everyone, it was better to make things clear from the beginning. Xianzhen seemed to like setting traps for him. This kind of thing had to be made clear. Ah, that's good. I can enter the city without fighting. Lu Chun finally entered the city. Wu Bang City occupied a vast area. In fact, there were also some commoners in the city. Lu Chun noticed that they were wearing special badges on their chests. They were probably people who had lived here for a long time. In addition, many of the immortal cultivators who came and went were of very high levels. They were all cultivators. Although this place was almost out of the Holy Mountain area, it was still part of the Holy Mountain area. The cultivators in the Holy Mountain area were almost all core disciples of sections. Other than the Heaven Lake Grand Meeting, it was rare to see one. However, in Wu Bang City, cultivators could be seen everywhere. Wu Bangcheng's strength can't be underestimated. No, it should be the strength of the Dongyu country. The Wu country belonged to the Dongyu country. It could be seen that in the fifth heaven, The strongest was not a sect, but a country. Once he entered Wu Bangcheng, Luqian went straight to the trading area. There were many immortal shops here. The quality of the equipment sold here couldn't be lower than the immortal level. Moreover, there was almost none of the equipment that could be obtained in the fourth heaven. All the equipment was made by advanced blacksmiths and tailors. Of course, the price was also very good. A piece of equipment could only be bought with 6 digits of spirit stones. Luqian wanted to buy some new equipment for the limitless sword to devour. However, considering the current stage, he had to prioritize improving his own strength, so he didn't buy anything for the time being. Lui found a few immortal pill formulas in the medicine shop. The formulas must be bought. It was necessary to spend the money. Boss! Xiaomin hurriedly ran to Luqian. We saw a strange thing in a medicine shop. Little green sister doesn't know if she wants to buy it. Luqian said strangely, if you don't have the herbs or formulas, then buy it. These things can't be saved. No, it's a cash withdrawal item. Xiaomin said. Cash withdrawal item? Yes, it's a cash withdrawal item for immortal pills. It can only be used once. It can be used to withdraw 1 immortal pill. The price is 100,000 spirit stones. 1 immortal pill could increase one's spiritual energy by 1,000 points. According to Luqian's previous purchase price, it would cost 136,000 spirit stones. However, if he used an immortal pill withdrawal item, it would only cost 100,000 spirit stones. Luqian thought about it. This seemed to be a loophole. Then Luqian hurriedly followed Xiaomin to the shop. After a battle of wits and bargaining, Luqian bought the 4 immortal pill withdrawal items for 300,000 spirit stones. Sigh, 75% off. I really didn't earn much. The shop owner shook his head, as if he wasn't satisfied with the final price. Boss, I also need to pay for making immortal pills. It's reasonable that the cash withdrawal item is much cheaper than directly absorbing spiritual energy. You can't say that, young man. You're just lucky to be able to buy these discounted cash withdrawal items in a small place. You'll know in the future that the bigger the place, the richer the people. When that time comes, the cash withdrawal items will be in short supply. Which shop will still sell them at a discount? 200 spirit stones per item is basically a fixed price. It will only be more expensive and not cheaper. My immortal pills for 100,000 spirit stones are already cheap enough. Luqian frowned. If that was the case, the cost of buying cash withdrawal items would increase in the future. After coming to Wu Bangcheng, Luqian also realized that the few million spirit stones he had didn't seem to be very rich. Boss, you said that the stronger one is, the richer one is. Then how do they get their spirit stones? What's the fastest way to earn money? The fastest way to earn money? The shop owner laughed. Of course it's through mining. Speaking of which, there was news a while ago that a spirit stone mine that the Heavenly Fiend clan was in charge of mining was massacred. Didn't you hear? They looted the mine in just one day with tens of millions of spirit stones. Looted a spirit stone mine? Luqian didn't have much to do. There were no other customers in the shop besides them, so he chatted with the shop owner. You really don't know? I just happened to have a projected image from a shadow stone. Let me show you. The shop owner took out a small black stone. After injecting his spirit chi, the stone projected a 3D image. Look at how tragically these people died. Only their skins are left. Their bodies have been sucked dry. Not even their bones are left. Luqian looked at the image. A large number of Heavenly Fiend skins were piled up at the entrance of the mine. Moreover, there were people constantly pushing out carts of human skins from the mine. This scene was really a little horrifying. Who did this? How could their methods be so cruel? Even if they wanted to rob a spirit stone mine, they wouldn't have to kill all these people so cruelly. I don't think it's a human. The shop owner narrowed his eyes and said, as far as I know, there shouldn't be such a terrifying cultivation technique. It could be some kind of powerful fiend beast. But why would a fiend beast want a spirit stone mine? They don't need spirit stones to buy things. The speaker didn't mean it, but the listener took it seriously. Hearing the word fiend beast, Luqian couldn't help but tremble. Chapter 766. Could it be the supreme demon beast? After coming out of the medicine store, Lu Chen was a little out of it. Boss, that thing that attacked the mine. Could it be? Lu Yi said. Lu Chen nodded. That's possible. That thing does have the ability to swallow. Back at the bottom of the lake, it swallowed the supreme demon beast's bones until nothing was left. If that's the case, then its growth rate must be very fast. Xiaomin said worriedly. Spirit stones contained large amounts of spiritual energy. That thing actually swallowed the spirit stone mine directly. Its growth rate was unimaginable. The fifth heaven was about to be reactivated, but at the same time, there was a huge crisis that was rapidly growing. Boss, don't worry too much. After this incident, I believe that the various powers will be on guard. They can at least limit its growth rate. Lu Chen nodded. There were many fifth heaven experts. Perhaps they could really stop it. And don't think about it. It's useless even if I think about it. I can't find it at all. Lu Chen shook his head. It was better to focus on himself. Boss, here are 4 immortal spiritual pills. Lu Yi handed 4 purple pills to Lu Chen. Lu Chen thought for a moment and said, leave this for Lu Yi. If I use it, it will only increase my attributes. It won't cause any qualitative changes. I heard that there are teleportation arrays in bigger cities. I haven't been back for a long time. When the matter here is settled, I'll go back home first. These few days Lu Chen had been staying in an inn in the city. When he was free, he would buy some resources for future use. At the same time, he would also go to the market to see if he could find any cash withdrawal coupons. In these few days there were many experts entering Wubang City. There were even people from other regions who came from far away to participate in the marriage contest. The status and prestige of a city lord in Dongyu country was not something that the Heavenly Lake could compare to. Of course, now that the spiritual energy in Heavenly Lake had recovered, perhaps many years later, the Heavenly Lake would change. What surprised Lu Chen was that Yanling and Huang Xian had also come. He only found out when he saw Yanling and Xianlan shopping on the street. Yan Sun was still in charge of the reconstruction of the Heavenly Lake, but since Xianzhen had personally invited them, they had to send someone over. The best candidates were naturally Huang Xian, and Yanling. Huang Xian didn't participate in the spouse finding martial competition. His potential wasn't bad, but his strength was still lacking when compared to the other powerhouses. Yanling and Xianlan seemed to have a good relationship. The two of them held hands as they picked out clothes together. Xiling, I saw Nameless. It was exactly as you said. I hate him as much as I can. Xianlan was still angry when she mentioned that person. Ling frowned slightly. He's also here to find a spouse. My father said that he wanted to see his strength, and made an agreement with him, that if he won, he would be rewarded with 10,000 cash notes. In the end, that guy actually added a condition, saying that he would never marry me. What a narcissist. I don't like him. Ling heart was very complicated. It seemed that this guy was not only uninterested in her. What kind of opponent will your father arrange for him? There are so many famous powerhouses coming for you this time. He'll definitely arrange the strongest for him. I'm so angry. Don't worry, Linger. I'll take revenge for us sisters together. I'll beat him half to death, and let him know how powerful we are. Yanling imagined Nameless being beaten black and blue. She didn't know why, but she couldn't bear it. And that there's no need to do that. Just teach him a lesson. His mouth is too cheap. No, he made me look bad in front of so many people. I'll remember him for the rest of my life. Ling, you're too soft-hearted. This time, you'll be in charge of watching the show. Wubang City was really a gathering of big shots. Those active, inactive, and even those rarely seen super powerhouses were all gathered together. Even if they didn't participate personally, they would still come to join in the fun. If the Heavenly Lake Grand Meeting was to choose the newcomers with outstanding potential, then the Wubang City Lord's Daughter's Spouse Finding Martial Competition was a gathering of famous powerhouses from the Sacred Mountain and the surrounding areas. 5 days later, the martial competition was about to begin. Lu Chen came out of the inn and headed to the competition venue. When a general saw Nameless, he personally came to welcome him. Mr. Nameless, the city lord has ordered me to entertain Mr. Nameless for the next few days. Lu Chen followed that person to the spectator area. Some important guests sat with Xian Jun in the spectator area on the north side of the arena. Lu Chen sat in the first row of the spectator area on the east side. From afar, Lu Chen saw Xian Jun looking at him and nodding slightly to greet him. Mr. Nameless, the spouse finding martial competition will be held for 5 days. You probably won't go on stage for the first few days. Lu Chen nodded. Since he was bored, he might as well watch the competition. Soon someone went on stage. Both of them were rather famous figures, and both of them were 6-star cultivators. As soon as the battle started, the two of them didn't talk nonsense and directly activated their soul-body fusion and domain skills. The battle was extremely fierce. Both of them exchanged blows. It was worth mentioning that both of them were third transition martial artists, named Einherjar. This was the first time Lu Chen heard of a third transition martial artist. Einherjar seemed to be the last transition for a close combat martial artist. In this battle, both of them were very close in strength and were of the same profession. After an hour of soul-body fusion, there was no clear winner. Then, both of them fought with their original bodies at the same time. The battle situation was different at this time. After a fierce battle, the young man of the Dongting lineage won the first match with his stronger ability to resist attacks. Xian Ting's physique increased a lot. They are both 6-star cultivators, but his physique is at least 1/3 taller than Qing Qi's. Yes, so even if they are of the same level, the gap in strength will be huge. However, their war souls are very close in strength. There is almost no clear winner. A middle-aged man shook his head. Xian Ting's war soul is also stronger, but Qing Qi's battle experience is richer. He used a lot of delaying tactics, but who knew that when the war soul left, Xian Ting's original body strength was still higher than Qing Qi's. The first match of the marriage contest had a good start. The following matches began to become more and more exciting. After 36 matches, 18 of them entered the second round. On the second day, as there was not enough time to accumulate the war soul's recovery time, the contestants' soul-body fusion could only last for 10 minutes in today's battle. Lu Chen realized that fighting with one's original body had become a method that he had to master. On this day, 9 of them were determined. On the third day, only 5 were left. On the fourth day, a new batch of contestants joined the competition, and the number of contestants increased to 16. Those who are participating now are the real experts. Yi Long, the Luo brothers, Xing Chening. Wow, they are all famous super experts. I can finally see the battle between them. To be fair, their war souls can only be used for 10 minutes at most. On the fifth day, the top 8 were determined. At this moment, the officer beside Lu Chen said, "Mr. Nameless, the city lord has ordered you to start the competition tomorrow. Your opponents are Luo Chen, Yi Long and Duo-Colored Moon. Of course, if you lose midway, you will lose the opportunity to continue participating in the marriage contest, and all your rewards will be taken back." Lu Chen smiled and nodded. Xian Jun was really ruthless. He wanted him to challenge the 3 strongest people directly. "Tell your city lord that I want to raise the stakes," Lu Chen suddenly said. "Raise the stakes? Yes, let the 3 of them fight together. If I win, I will get 90,000 in cash." Chapter 767. After staying in Wu Bangqing for a few days, Lu Chen had already heard of Xian Jun's martial arts fanatic character. He grasped Xian Jun's weakness and proposed an irresistible condition. Triple the asking price, that would be 90,000 cash withdrawal tickets, which was definitely a huge sum of money. But on the other hand, if Lu Chen failed, he wouldn't get a single cent. The risk and reward would increase exponentially. Not long after, the officer in charge of receiving Lu Chen returned. "The city lord said your asking price is too high. He doesn't have so many cash withdrawal tickets in his hands." Lu Chen frowned slightly. Even the city lord of Wu Bangqing couldn't take out so many cash withdrawal tickets in one go. How much does he have? 47,000. Deal, Lu Chen said without hesitation. This time, even the other party was stunned. Nameless asking price was too casual. It was equivalent to a 50% discount, but he actually agreed without hesitation. In fact, for Lu Chen, it was a lot anyway, so a little bit more was a little bit more. The news that Nameless was going to challenge 3 experts at the same time suddenly exploded in the northern spectator stands. "Father, what did you say? Nameless is going to challenge 3 people at the same time? He's crazy," Xianlong almost shouted. "I don't know if he's crazy or not. I only know that my cash withdrawal tickets seem to be safe." Xianzhen smiled slightly. Bo Fan frowned slightly. When Nameless met that young man for the first time, Hong Yuan's soul and body had already fused, but he was still calm. "I thought he was a calm child, but I didn't expect him to be so careless. 1 against 3? What kind of people does he think he can survive until now? Why does he think he's stronger than the others?" Luo Shui said. "He's really too arrogant. Big senior brother and second senior brother are also arrogant, but they know their limits. This guy is many times more arrogant than them. I think he'll be beaten up badly in a while." Xianzhen smiled. "Maybe he thinks he won't die anyway, so he's so fearless. But I think some people can't stand being looked down upon like this. Moreover, in a 3 against 1 situation, anything can happen. He might have to pay a painful price for his arrogance." Huang Xian looked at his junior sister beside him. Xianlong and the others were chatting excitedly, but his junior sister didn't speak at all. "Ling, or don't you hate Nameless the most? Why do I see that you don't seem very happy?" Huang Xian asked. Yan Ling was stunned for a moment, and glanced at her senior brother. "Although he's annoying, he saved us and helped the Holy Mountain. Grandfather admires him very much. I don't want to see him die in the arena." Huang Xian nodded. "Indeed, that guy is annoying, but I don't want him to die." There was only 1 match left for today's competition. Nameless against the 3 most outstanding youths of the Sacred Mountain, Yi Long, Luo Chun, and Ying. When they learned that the city lord had arranged for the 3 of them to fight Nameless at the same time, with their personalities, they were already furious. If City Lord Xianzhen hadn't personally informed them this time, they probably would have exploded before the competition. 3 nephews, actually, this doesn't affect you at all. As long as you defeat him, not only will you have 1 less opponent, it won't affect your reputation. Xianzhen said. "He looked down on you, so you should return the favor, right? Do you want me to refuse his request? Wouldn't that be cowardice before the battle?" The 3 of them had to give Xianzhen face, so they could only agree to this match. After getting on the stage, the 3 of them stared at the young man who was slowly walking up the stage. This time Lu Chen changed into his wild blood sword god outfit, a red robe that fluttered fiercely in the wind. "Nameless, you're really arrogant. You actually dare to challenge the 3 of us at the same time." Ying was an assassin of the night. He wore a black outfit and his face was covered with a veil, leaving only a pair of angry eyes. "Nameless, my master used to think that you were mature, but I didn't expect you to be such an arrogant guy." Falling Dust said indifferently. "At that time, the son of Lord Yi had a conflict with you. Now it seems that I should have stood on his side." Yi Long sneered. "Nameless, do you think I'll let you off unscathed? Sorry, but this time, we'll settle our old and new debts together." Lu Chen looked at the 3 of them indifferently. "The 3 of you? It's not that I look down on the 3 of you, but my time is tight. From today onwards, I must seize every second. This time, I won't let go of the chance to earn more cash coupons." If Xiaomin and Little Green were free now, they would have been shocked. It turned out that Boss hadn't completely let go of the matter of Magical Beast Supreme. In the past, although Lu Chen's growth was rapid, he was still relatively leisurely. This sudden increase in the stakes was actually not in line with Lu Chen's usual style. There was only one reason. After seeing the Shadow Stone of the mine incident, Boss wanted to become stronger faster. That guy's growth speed was too terrifying. Lu Chen didn't have much time left. In this emergency situation, Lu Chen's strategy had changed. This was why he decided to fight 3 genius powerhouses alone in order to earn more cash coupons. However, there was one thing that didn't change. Lu Chen wouldn't tell Little Green and Xiaomin about this dangerous matter in advance. He just pretended as if nothing had happened. "You really don't have much time left, because soon, you'll die at our hands." Yi Long sneered. Falling dust shadow, according to my deduction. The reason why he thinks that the three of us aren't his match is most likely because he doesn't think we'll truly join forces. That's right. Perhaps it's due to face, or perhaps there's a competitive relationship between us, which could cause us to fight separately, Shadow said. Falling dust smiled faintly. Nameless, if that's really what you think, then I'm sorry but you'll be disappointed. Team battles are an essential part of our cultivation. The power of the three of us joining forces is definitely not what you think it is. Lu Chen smiled faintly, as you wish. This sentence almost caused the three people who were bursting with confidence to collapse. After talking for so long, he said, as you wish? You can do whatever you want. This guy is too arrogant. Xianlan already hated Lu Chen to the extreme. Xianjun smiled faintly. He's definitely arrogant. Lan, have you heard of the Azure Dragon sect being destroyed? I've heard of it. If I'm not wrong, the guy who destroyed the Azure Dragon sect, Solipsistic, is this Nameless. What? Not only Xianlan, but even Yanling and Huang Xian were shocked. Xianjun said, I wouldn't think so highly of a person for no reason. Recently, for some reason, there hasn't been any newcomers from the fourth heaven to the fifth heaven. It's not just in the vicinity of the sacred mountain. I've asked the city lords of a few other cities, and it seems that there hasn't been any newcomers in the entire fifth heaven. The only newcomer is probably this Solipsistic. I'm really curious, what's so special about him? Xianjun narrowed his eyes slightly. Breaking into the fourth heaven alone, destroying the Azure Dragon sect, hiding from being the champion of the Heavenly Lake Conference, and causing the spiritual chi to recover. This person has already aroused my interest. Chapter 768. As the city lord of Wu Bang City, Xianjun was well informed. No wonder he paid special attention to Lu Chen. He knew much more than the others. At this moment, everyone's gaze fell on the arena. 3 of them were here for Xianlan, while their opponents were here for the instant extraction scroll. 2 of them were 1-star cultivators, and 1 was a 9-star cultivator. Lu Chen was a 1-star cultivator. Nameless, are you planning to use the advantage of soul-body fusion? Shadow suddenly said. Lu Chen's expression did not change. He said something that shocked everyone. He seemed to be talking to himself. If I use soul-body fusion, I won't be able to improve in this battle. As long as I use soul-body fusion, no matter if I accumulate 10 minutes or an hour, my time will be reset to 0. If I meet that guy now, I won't have any chance of winning. Then Lu Chen raised his head and said calmly, Don't worry. From today onwards, my soul-body fusion will only be prepared for 1 person. And all of you are not my target. As soon as he said this, everyone's eyes widened. What, he doesn't use soul-body fusion? He's crazy. A 1-star cultivator dares not to use soul-body fusion? What a joke. Does he know the difference in strength between the battle soul and the main body? He's courting death. Yanling was shocked beyond words. In her heart, she always felt that Lu Chen's strength was not much higher than hers. He used despicable means in the sun-chasing competition. He had a magic treasure like the clear water pearl in the Heavenly Lake. At such a close distance, his void-shattering technique had missed. Maybe he was just a little lucky, but his true strength had not reached a height that she could not reach. But at this moment, that somewhat sloppy man seemed especially serious this time. When he put away his smile, there was actually a strong sense of oppression. Was that red robe his real fashion? The eye-catching red was as arrogant as his real ID. Solipsistic. Was this his true appearance? It was just like that night when she saw him chatting with the commoners. At this moment, Yanling felt as if she had never really known this guy. 1 against 3. Why aren't you using soul body as 1? Is there something wrong with my ears? Xianlan furrowed her brows. Any normal person would not make such a decision. Nameless had said so there were only 2 possible outcomes. Either he was a lunatic who was seeking his own death, or he was a super powerhouse. A person who didn't want to marry her even after winning. What kind of person was he? Nameless, you really are the most arrogant person I've ever seen. Falling Dust was thoroughly enraged. Today, I will definitely kill you. Soul and body as 1. Falling dust, leaf dragon, and shadow simultaneously activated the soul-body fusion state. Lu Chen looked at the three people in front of him indifferently. How difficult would it be to fight that guy in the future? Perhaps only the dead loose immortal would know. Defeating these three people with soul and body as one would not be difficult for him at all. Since Jiutian kept emphasizing the combat power of his body, then he would use his body to fight these three people. Perhaps this difficulty was only 1%, or even 1,000th, of the difficulty of the battle with Demon Beast Sovereign. Lu Chen was a little surprised himself. A shadow stone actually made him unable to mind. An indescribable pressure made him involuntarily start to get serious. In the void, a long sword was slowly drawn out. Limitless godly demon sword. Boss, are you sure you want to use your body to fight three people with soul and body as one? The sword spirit rarely spoke. Lu Chen said, Why? You don't want to fight? No, I'm just a little excited. Lu Chen's lips curled up slightly. Is that so? That's great. Godly demon symbiosis. In an instant, Lu Chen completely changed his appearance. His black hair turned white instantly. His long hair reached his waist and swayed with the wind. In the blink of an eye, Lu Chen was no longer an average-looking man. His facial features were exquisite, his eyebrows were sharp, and his eyes were bright. He stood tall with a sword in his hand. The red color of the wild blood sword god combined with his white hair and fair skin made him look like a red shadow in a snowy field. Of course, the most eye-catching thing was not his white hair and handsome face. Instead, it was the pair of furry ears on his head that melted Xianlan's maiden heart. My mother, what kind of demon is that? Why is he so handsome? Those ears, oh my god, I love them. Yanling was also stunned. Was this guy really that wretched man? He was too handsome. There were countless handsome men among the disciples of the immortal cultivation sect. Yanling originally thought that she was immune to handsome men, but when she saw Lu Chen's appearance, her heart started to pound. That was not a handsome man. That was a beautiful man. It was as if he had walked out of an ink painting, clean and untainted. Especially that pair of ears. They were so adorable that his face was bleeding. That is so handsome. Exclamations could be heard from all around. In the past, Lu Chen would have been proud of himself. It was not easy to fuse with such a handsome appearance, and the effect was quite good. The commotion was even greater than when Bei Shui Gufei had appeared. However, Lu Chen did not care about that now. There was only one thought in his mind, and that was to become stronger. Lu Chen swung his sword elegantly. He held the sword with one hand and stabbed it into the ground. Come on. Battle soul possession, devil transformation, dragon blood boiling, 3 reincarnations. Lu Chen spat out a mouthful of blood. Then, he turned into a red shadow and rushed to the opposite side. Ghostly shadows. Doppelganger. In an instant, a large number of Lu Chen appeared in the arena. Nameless, don't think that you can win with these tricks. In front of the battle soul, you are just an ant. Everyone kill him. Yi Long shouted angrily. 9 Dragon Wall Domain. Endless Night Domain. Shadow also activated his domain. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, thousand dust domain. Lu Chen seemed to have guessed that they were going to activate their domains. After all, this was the opening move of many people. He had already prepared for it. Shatter the void. Break it. If Lu Chen's battle soul had attacked, the 3 domains would have shattered at the same time. However, Lu Chen's physical strength was only 11,000 points. After many boosts, it would not exceed 100,000 points. The attack power of Shatter the Void was greatly reduced. Relying on the restraining effect of Shatter the Void on domain skills, it did not break any of the domains. The attack is too low. Lu Chen changed his tactics. Chaotic element type change. The elixir instantly turned black and became mixed yuan spiritual elixir. At the very least, the domains could not affect Lu Chen's attack. The endless night domain turned the surroundings pitch black, and Shadow had already disappeared into the darkness. On the other side, Yi Long had already rushed in front of Lu Chen with the displacement. How dare you be arrogant in front of me? Today, I'll let you know how powerful I am. Summon 9 Body Ghost Chariot. Yilong was a spirit controller. He summoned the remnant soul of a divine beast, Ghost Chariot, with 8 bodies and 8 heads. In the next second, Yilong suddenly disappeared. After fusing with the 9-body dragon god, he grew a 9th body and head. Spirit controller astral form. At the same time, Lu Chen suddenly realized that his third opponent had also disappeared. Falling Dust should not be an assassin. If he remembered correctly, he should be a Golden Light monk. Golden Light Buddha body. Lu Chen frowned. Of these 3 guys, 2 had already activated their profession astral form, and 1 had disappeared into the night. For a moment, only Lu Chen was left in the arena. However, everyone knew that at this moment, Lu Chen was already in a desperate situation. Chapter 769. Yanling thought that she would calmly watch Nameless lose, or even be seriously injured. However, at this moment, she didn't know why she had never been as nervous as she was now. Nameless opponents had all disappeared. If she was Nameless, how would she deal with such a situation? Without the fusion of soul and body, the 2 opponents had directly activated their profession astral bodies. One of them was a night assassin who was good at assassination. Would they panic before the fight even started? No. She would never use her body to fight against other people's souls. However, Yanling couldn't help but put herself into the battle, which made people even more confused. The white-haired man in the field didn't panic. He closed his eyes slightly. Heavenly Eye. In the state of the body, it was much more difficult to use the aura. At present, Lu Chen couldn't directly use the aura to defend against the enemy's attack like before. However, the aura had already provided clues to the opponent's figure. Suddenly, a silver light flashed behind him. Lu Chen moved quickly, and the fish-scale dagger almost brushed past his throat. He avoided the night assassin's sneak attack. How did he do it? At the same time, Ying also appeared briefly. This was the best time for Lu Chen to make a move. However, a fireball had already smashed towards him from behind, so he couldn't stay for a moment. He moved quickly again to avoid the fireball's attack range. The ghost chariot still turned into a chariot. The 9 dragon heads launched continuous elemental attacks towards Lu Chen. Nameless, taste my power. Unlimited elemental firepower. The attacks were overwhelming. All kinds of elemental balls were shot in succession, roaring towards Lu Chen. Even if the opponent's soul's attributes weren't particularly outstanding, Lu Chen's body couldn't withstand one attack. Moreover, Yilong's strength wasn't weak at all. As long as these shells hit Lu Chen once, he would definitely die. Lu Chen used his body movement, shuttling nimbly between the various elemental shells. In the distance, Huang Xian slightly furrowed his brows. His heavens, I can predict the position of the enemy's attack. But to be able to calmly dodge such a dense barrage of attacks, whether it is in terms of reaction time or mental fortitude, solipsistic is top-notch. Huang Xian, who did not want to deal with Lu Chen, could not help but admire him when he saw Lu Chen's dodging. However, Xianjun shook his head slightly. Huang Xian, you're right, but don't forget that solipsistic has 0 tolerance for error. Any one of my attacks can instantly kill him. Battles have always been cruel. No matter how perfect you are in the process, as long as you lose in the end, you lose. Huang Xian's heart skipped a beat. That's right. Even if the solipsistic's performance was brilliant, he could not make a single mistake when fighting against a war soul with his main body. Luo Shui stared at the battlefield. I think Yilong is far from using his full strength. Luo Kong nodded. Yilong doesn't need to use his full strength at all. His goal should be to seal off Nameless movements. Don't forget, there are still 2 hunters waiting for an opportunity to move. Second senior brother. Why hasn't eldest senior brother come out yet? Evening only attacked once before disappearing again. Luo Shui asked. Little Shui, remember, sometimes if you don't make a move, you'll have to make a move. Luo Kong said. Ying's attack was dodged just now. They should have seen that Nameless reaction time is outstanding. Now that eldest senior brother is not moving, it will imperceptibly create a huge pressure on Nameless. First, he doesn't dare to attack rashly. Second, he has to be vigilant at all times. These 2 points are almost enough to make eldest senior brother, and the others invincible. Once Nameless shows even the slightest flaw, it will be fatal. A lion and a tiger will use all their strength to catch a rabbit. These 3 are not people with an undeserved reputation. They are the most dangerous hunters. Compared to Nameless, their combat experience can only be stronger. I really can't think of how Nameless can win. Their master, Bofan, frowned slightly. Solipsistic has been using 7 stars chasing the moon, but his movement range is slowly shrinking. Is he trying to use 7 stars chasing the moon to reverse Luo Chen and Ying's position? Xianjun shook his head. Using 7 stars chasing the moon to reverse Luo Chen's position is indeed a clever method. If he uses Heaven's Eye, he might be able to roughly determine the enemy's position. But the problem is that the enemy is moving. With Luo Chen and Ying's reaction time, they can even deliberately create an illusion and make Nameless miss. In the current situation, it's already very difficult for him to dodge Yilong's attack. Even if he finds Luo Chen and Ying, he won't have time to attack. At this moment, Luo Kong's eyes widened. Nameless seems to have underestimated Ghost Chariot's elemental attack. A ball of ice spirit energy exploded beside Lu Chen. Although Lu Chen had dodged the attack, after the ball of ice exploded, countless icicles exploded around Lu Chen. Ghost Chariot's attack was ever-changing, and there was a mystery hidden in the ball of spirit energy. Nameless, you're finished. You're already dead. Yilong's voice came from one of Ghost Chariot's heads. Facing the countless icicles that were as thin as silver needles, Lu Chen was about to dodge again when purple smoke suddenly appeared around him. Spiritual power disorder. Ying's voice came from the dark. Lu Chen suddenly found that the circulation of his spirit core was blocked. The supply of spirit energy was blocked, and all of his movement skills couldn't be used. The origin spirit core wouldn't be suppressed, but if the supply of spirit energy was limited, Lu Chen still couldn't use skills. Lu Chen's body wasn't invincible, and the spiritual power disorder successfully interfered with Lu Chen's skills. In just an instant, countless icicles pierced toward Lu Chen. Yan Ling's mind was completely blank. The price she had to pay for putting herself in Lu Chen's shoes was that she had no other choice. Large drops of sweat rolled down her face from her forehead. It's impossible to dodge. Nameless. However, at this moment, there was no trace of panic on his face. Instead, he smiled evilly. Ying, I've been waiting for you for a long time. I know you're hiding nearby. Seeing this opportunity, you can't not make a move. I'm all ears. Lu Chen grabbed the air, and a blurry figure was directly grabbed out of the night by Lu Chen. With one step, Lu Chen had already hidden behind Ying. He was all ears and forcibly pulled the other party to his side. In fact, this wasn't any attack or movement skill. But at this moment, it just happened to resolve Lu Chen's crisis. Shadow Shield. Facing the ice needles, Ying had no choice but to use the shield. Countless icicles collided with the shadow shield. Although the icicles didn't hurt Ying, they still shattered his shadow shield. This guy, did he deliberately show an opening just now? Huang Xian was stunned for a moment. Since they didn't take the initiative to attack, Lu Chen gave them a reason to attack. And at this moment, Lu Chen's counterattack began. Fierce Tiger descends the mountain. Lu Chen shouted in a low voice. 10 consecutive sword strikes, as fast as lightning, pierced towards Shadow. Although Ying's HP didn't decrease by much, after all, Lu Chen's attributes were too low. But soon he would understand a truth. Don't let the solipsistic get close. Stun, silence, slow mana burn, critical hit. All kinds of passive skills were crazily refreshing. Chapter 770. Since level 5 didn't show the numerical damage anymore, he couldn't see the negative status on others. Only the War Soul would show the HP. Shadow's HP wasn't dropping fast, but the crowd was exclaiming. However, the fact that his physical body could actually fight against a fighting soul was already an incredible feat. Impossible. He's just a 1-star cultivator. Even if he has an enhancement skill, his attack shouldn't be able to break through the defense. His strength has increased to more than 100,000. No, look at Shadow's HP. It's dropping at a different rate each time. It feels like It's a critical hit. That's impossible. Unless he's using critical hits, it's impossible to hit Shadow's War Soul. Unfortunately, Lu Chen was using critical hits. It was just that the critical hit multiplier was different. After being caught by Lu Chen, this violent beating caused Ying to freeze on the spot, unable to move even an inch. It's a passive stun. Bo Fan narrowed his eyes. Attacks with combo, high critical hit rate, burning the opponent's spiritual energy and blocking it. How can this guy have so many passive skills? Xianjun frowned. If he uses soul-body fusion, it'll be a nightmare to get close to him. No matter how much HP you have, you'll be stunned to death. However, this wasn't a one-on-one fight. Seeing Shadow being beaten up by Nameless, the other person had to make a move. You want to kill someone in front of me? Dream on. Buddha's illumination. Falling Dust finally used his skill. A golden light shot from not far away, and cleared all the negative status on Shadow. Great bell tolls. Since Falling Dust had made a move, he wouldn't just save Shadow. There was a sudden loud noise in the arena. Lu Chen felt his eardrums were about to explode, and his brain was buzzing. He was in a muddle-headed state. Buddha's purified land. The golden light converged into a human figure, and then divided into four, standing in four directions of Lu Chen. With a flip of his hand, several Buddhist seals instantly enlarged and slapped towards Lu Chen, saving, controlling, attacking all in one go. The nine-body ghost chariot naturally wouldn't stay idle. A large number of elemental attacks came. As soon as Ying was released from the crowd control, he turned around and slashed at Lu Chen's throat from behind. Hong Zhongming's ear was a long-range control, and it was almost impossible to dodge when it was used. However, it also had a weakness, and that was that the control it created was not a strong control. If Hong Zhongming's earpiece was a forceful control, Lu Chen would definitely lose this time. But because it wasn't a forceful control, Lu Chen still had a glimmer of hope. In this critical moment, Lu Chen forcefully focused his mind. Buddha's salvation. Remove control. Ghost shadows descend. Two of the three had already appeared, and Luo Chen's main body was nearby, but he couldn't pinpoint the exact location. Lu Chen flashed to the outside of the encirclement, and suddenly thrust his spear. Fierce Tiger descends the mountain. Suppressive fire. 50 spiritual energy space cannons blasted out from the muzzles of the spirit deity cannons, at the same time like fireworks exploding. Shadow wanted to dodge, but the psionic space cannon's speed was too fast, and Lu Chen had already predicted it. Shadow was unable to dodge the cannon, and was hit directly. Under the soul-body fusion state, Shadow's HP dropped by 1 bar. Lu Chen's spiritual force was 10,000 points, and the psionic cannon's damage was 800 times, so a cannon could deal 8 million damage. The average person's spiritual defense was definitely not comparable to their physical defense. Rough estimation, Lu Chen's cannon could deal more than 7 million damage even without a critical hit. However, would Lu Chen not deal a critical hit? Even if he was fighting a boss with extremely high critical hit resistance, he could still deal critical hits continuously. Not to mention Shadow. The answer was obviously impossible. Unless he turned off his werewolf bloodline, otherwise, he would definitely deal a critical hit. Not only a critical hit, but also other passive skills. When Ying was stunned again, he could only watch helplessly as the overwhelming number of spiritual bullets came at him. His eyes twitched. This what kind of damage is this? He hasn't even fused with his soul body yet. How can he deal such terrifying damage? When the surrounding spectators saw this scene, they were so shocked that they didn't know what to say. At this time, their minds were full of question marks. Without fusing with his soul body, why was the damage so high? What the hell was his critical hit? Why was the critical hit rate so high? And the critical hit multiplier so high? Psionic cannon? Was he a psionic explosion expert? But the problem was he clearly had such powerful close combat ability. He had the ability to forcibly dispel crowd control. Did the psionic cannon inherit the close combat special effect? The assassin of the night, who was good at movement, actually couldn't avoid his prediction? Wait, why didn't the 3 major areas have any effect on him? There were too many questions, but no one could answer them at this time. Even if it was only a double critical hit, the psionic cannon with 7 million damage could deal more than 20 million damage, not to mention 3, 4, or 5 times critical hits. Every time it hit, it would take a lot of HP. 50 psionic cannon shots, in an extremely short period of time, all hit. Although Shadow War Spirit's HP was not displayed, it was definitely not over 100 million. 50 psionic cannon shots were enough to kill him 10 times. Boom, 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 boom. The cannonballs exploded in the arena. The arena that was specially built for experts no longer existed. Victory fell to the ground. At this time, he had forcefully exited the soul-body fusion state. His body was covered in wounds, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. In the blink of an eye, he had already killed one person. Turning around, Lu Chen's gaze fell on the 9 corpses' ghost chariot. He raised his hand, and 1080 sword auras shot out. Tiger descends the mountain. Sacred Lotus Sword Heart. This was the first time he used the Sacred Lotus Sword Heart in an actual battle. 1080 sword auras flashed like lightning, forming a dazzling ray of light. The limitless demon sword had already turned into a shadow, and it was completely impossible to distinguish. Seeing this attack, Xianjun's face was already pale. What skill is this? There is such a terrifying skill in the world. Bo Fan could not help but take a step forward. He wanted to see this attack clearly. However, the sword auras were too fast, and it was impossible to see with the naked eye. Oh my god! Wait, what is his class? Melee fighter, psionic explosion expert, and now sword kinesis? What is his main class? In fact, many people would dual or multiple classes, but most people would cultivate the branch classes of the same main class. There were also many people who would learn some general skills. But no matter what, everyone would have their own main class. When choosing equipment, they would try to match their main class as much as possible. After all, this would maximize the damage. Lu Chen's problem was that the skills of every class could become his main class. This was because whether it was melee, ranged, or even beast kinesis, he was very strong. The power of the Sacred Lotus Sword Heart could only be described as terrifying. After a spirit tamer used the spirit tamer astral form and fused with the summoned spirit, it was extremely difficult to kill. Their HP and spirit combined was equivalent to a super strong shield. However, under the frenzied attacks of the Sacred Lotus Sword, the 9 corpses' ghost chariot's huge body fell to the ground. The ghost chariot directly turned into light spots and disappeared, leaving only Yi Long, who had exited the soul-body fusion state. At this time, Yi Long was lying on the ground, and the ground beside him was already dyed red with blood. Whether he was dead or alive, it was certain that he no longer had the ability to fight. With the limitless demon sword in hand, Lu Chen could stand in the ruins. He slowly opened his eyes and looked around indifferently. There is one left. Chapter 771. Firepower Suppression, Sacred Lotus Sword Heart. Xian Lan repeated the name of the skill. He actually used his own body's attack to instantly kill a divine beast spirit. Oh my god, what kind of skill is this? Huang Xian suddenly thought of something. I finally know why he could make such extreme predictions during the class skill test. His attacks can't be limited by any class. Timing control in close combat, accurate prediction of long-range firepower, terrifying damage from sword attacks. The most frightening thing is that he can guess the enemy's mentality, allowing him to always be on the initiative. Oh my god, he has no shortcomings, no weaknesses. Yin Ling, who was at the side, was stunned. She still remembered that Solipsistic had admitted that his shattering void was missed. She had never seen Lu Chen's actual combat. Whether it was the skill test or the day-chasing competition, they couldn't be considered real battles. However, after seeing this battle, she suddenly understood. Solipsistic had lied to her. He was now facing a summoned divine beast spirit, 2 class stars, and a deadly assassin with his own body. A single mistake would mean death. However, he was still able to calmly kill 2 people in an instant, even in such an adverse situation. How could such a person miss when he was so close to them during the day chaser competition? No, he was being merciful. Facing Huang Xian, and Yin Ling's provocation before the match, he still didn't use too much strength. Solipsistic. Yin Ling's impression of Lu Chun was completely overturned. Xianlan looked at that figure. The current Lu Chun was more than just handsome. That kind of calmness and indifference that looked down on the world, and the absolute strength that killed 2 people in an instant was completely different from the sloppy fisherman under the city gate. Oh my God, he's really handsome. Influenced by her father, Xianlan also worshipped the strong. This young man who was similar in age to her completely made her heart ripple. When a woman said no, it was possible that she still wanted. Therefore, her gaze couldn't move away from Lu Chun. Her previous bold declaration that she would never like him in her life seemed to have been thrown far to the back of her mind. On the battlefield, for golden shadows overlapped and finally merged into a human figure. Falling Dust looked around. Ying, who was famous for his assassination, and Yi Long, who made people tremble with fear with his 9 bodies ghost chariot, fell in this chaotic world. Until now, he still couldn't understand what had just happened. There was no problem with his strategy and timing. He did not show up at the beginning to distract Nameless' attention. Then he saved Kaguya, who was being controlled. At the same time, he controlled Nameless and attacked. The golden light around Falling Dust faded away, and he stood in front of Lu Chun. You purposely got close to Ghost Chariot's Ice Ren Spirit explosion to make Shadow think it was your mistake. Falling Dust narrowed his eyes slightly. Unexpectedly, Lu Chun shook his head and said, I didn't know about Yi Long's Ice Crack Spirit explosion in advance, so it can't be said that I deliberately put myself in danger. However, I believe that with your strength, Yi Long's attack definitely has a backup plan. I am indeed constantly vigilant on this point. Luo Chen's eyes narrowed even more. So, you have absolute confidence in your reaction? There are no absolutes in battle. I just do what I can, Lu Chen said. Falling Dust nodded and took a deep breath. That's right. There are no absolutes in battle, but you fought brilliantly. Although the infinite elemental firepower attack was fierce, I thought I could dodge Yi Long's attack. However, not only did you dodge his attack, you also used 7 stars chasing the moon and omniscient eye to detect my and Kage's approximate location. When you discovered that we weren't too far away from you, you revealed a slight flaw. At that time, someone would definitely not be able to resist and help Yi Long complete this attack. That purple smoke was Kage's usual skill when he was hunting. It prevented his prey from escaping the range of the purple smoke. However, I didn't expect that Kaguya would be caught by you without even showing his face. That misjudgment directly caused you to turn the tables. Hard crowd control requires direct physical contact or skill contact. You should understand this. My Great Bell Chime is a sound wave interference skill. Although it's almost impossible to defend against, the effect is far inferior to hard crowd control. I used that escape to complete the kill. Brilliant, indeed brilliant. Throughout the battle, every step was wrong, but you were flawless. Falling Dust had only taken action once, so he could see the entire battle more clearly than anyone else. After his analysis, the surrounding people thought about it again. Only then did they realize that Lu Chen's fearsomeness far exceeded what they could see with their own eyes. Nameless, there's no need for us to continue this battle, Falling Dust said. Your attack can break the astral body. My golden light Buddha body's advantage is not absolute. Although it's not easy for you to find my body, I didn't find your weakness either. However, once the fusion of my soul and body ends, there's only one result. The rest of the time is just a waste of time. I admit defeat in this battle. Lu Chen looked indifferently at Falling Dust. Don't you want to try? After all, I'm the main body. As long as your attack hits me, I'll lose. In fact, there's no clear victor between us. Falling Dust smiled faintly. The most frightening thing about you isn't your attack, but your. Falling Dust pointed to his head. Fighting someone like you is really too tiring. Moreover, you won because you're capable, but I won because it's only right. The battle soul fought the main body and ended up like this. I've already lost face for my master. I can't get any benefits from the City Lord's bet with you. What reason do I have to continue fighting? Although Falling Dust voluntarily gave up, Lu Chen had a whole new level of respect for him. A person who was indifferent to winning or losing was far more mature and steady than someone like Yi Long, who would easily kill people to get in the way. Moreover, among the three, only Falling Dust was still standing. It wasn't because Lu Chen could only defeat two people, but because Lu Chen hadn't thought of an effective way to force Falling Dust out. Amongst the three of them, Falling Dust's strength was the strongest. Not only was he the strongest, but he was also the smartest. So-called geniuses, some relied on luck, some relied on backing. But Falling Dust seemed to be the true number one genius in the Sacred Mountain region. No one expected that the only one who could still fight, Falling Dust, would take the initiative to give up. Luo Kong shook his head. Why didn't eldest senior brother fight? He might not lose. Their master Bo Fan said, not fighting is the wisest choice. Learn from your senior brother. Don't wander around all day. Lone Tyrant, on the other hand, has truly exceeded my expectations. That fellow's strength is somewhat excessive. Xianjun sighed. In a clash of geniuses, someone will eventually fall. Now it seems that at least in the Sacred Mountain region, no one can shake that guy's position. He's the true number one genius of the Sacred Mountain. No, perhaps, it should be said that he's the strongest. I saved up my 47,000 cash withdrawal ticket for a long time. Great, now it's all going to that kid. Chapter 772. Since Falling Dust admitted defeat, it meant that Lu Chen had won the match. The crowd was in an uproar, and everyone was discussing this inconceivable matter. Meanwhile, Lu Chen had already arrived in front of Xianjun. Looking at Lu Chen at such a close distance, Xianlan's heart seemed to be beating wildly. The current Lu Chen gave her a cold feeling that she couldn't approach him. In front of him, her status as the city lord's daughter didn't seem special at all. On the other hand, Lu Chen glanced at Yin Ling and Huang Xian when he saw them. Lu Chen stood in front of Xianjun and stretched out his hand. His meaning couldn't be any clearer. Give me money. Xianjun shook his head. Brother Du Kuang, this. Don't tell me you don't have enough cash withdrawal coupons? I've already given you a discount. Lu Chen frowned slightly. My God, he's so handsome even when he's angry? Xianlan completely ignored her embarrassed father and only glanced at Lu Chen, as if looking at him would make her feel better. Hey, you're being love-struck. Yin Ling secretly pushed Xianlan. Xianlan looked at Lu Chen with infatuation. So be it. I just want to touch his ears. If I can marry him, I'll have no regrets in this life. Yin Ling couldn't stand Xianlan anymore. Didn't you tell him not to think too highly of himself? I really wanted to slap myself to death at that time. If he's willing to marry me, I'm willing to do anything. Crazy. Yin Ling shook her head. Xianlan was clearly hopeless. In the end, when Yin Ling turned around and saw that exquisite and flawless fellow, she actually felt a rush of excitement. In other words, the person who hugged her during the sun-chasing competition and the person who kissed her under the heavenly lake was him. Why did she suddenly feel like she had made a profit? Brother Du Kuang, don't worry. I'll definitely give you the cash withdrawal coupons. I just have to trouble you to give me 2 days. I have over 30,000 on hand, and I still need to gather them. Xianjun's face was filled with awkwardness. You saw that you raised the price at the last minute. This doesn't count as me not keeping my word, right? I really only prepared 30,000 yuan. Lu Chen frowned. What Xianjun said was reasonable. It was true that he had raised the price at the last minute. He didn't deny it. If he had to wait another day, then so be it. Then give me the one in your hand first. Give me the rest tomorrow. Lu Chen also had to be vigilant. He wanted to get the one in Xianjun's hand first. Lu Chen felt a lot more at ease with the 35,000 cash withdrawal rolls in his hands. Just as Lu Chen was about to leave, Xianlan bravely called out to Lu Chen. Hey, that John Doe. Lu Chen turned around in surprise. You have cash withdrawal notes? Why don't you pay for your dad? No, you won my martial arts competition. Xianlan hinted frantically. Lu Chen blinked his eyes and didn't understand what he meant for a long time. Oh. After saying that, Lu Chen turned around and ran away with the 9 void steps. Xianlan looked at the red figure in the distance and almost felt her heart break. Xianzhen hugged his daughter's shoulder. Silly girl, that guy is just a piece of wood. But, Xianlan said sadly, I've never seen such a special person. No buts. He can't be thinking about you. You should stop thinking about him as soon as possible. He will either go very far or die. If Dad didn't ask him to stay for one more day, I'm afraid he would have left Wu Bangcheng. Bo Fan also walked over and smiled at Xianlan. Lanlan, there's something you can feel a little relieved about. Senior Bo Fan, what do you mean? With that guy's appearance, character, and strength, there are probably a few girls who have feelings for him, but they probably can't enter his heart. Xianlan thought about it. She really felt a little better after hearing what Senior Bo Fan said. If I can't have it, others can't have it either. That's still acceptable. Yi Long and Ing didn't die. Lu Chen still showed mercy. After all, there wasn't any deep hatred between them. There was no need to kill them. Both of them were receiving treatment at the City Lord's mansion. Bo Fan and his disciples were also staying at the City Lord's mansion. After visiting the two of them and having dinner, Bo Fan asked Falling Dust to tell him what he had learned from the battle with Solipsistic today. Senior brother, actually, when we met Nameless at the city gate and faced Hong Yuan's attack, he didn't use soul-body fusion. Now it seems like he has long wanted to try fighting with his war soul. Falling Dust nodded. At that time, I thought he didn't want to fight for real. Now that I think about it, that guy is simply a monster. Senior brother, if you use that skill, what do you think your chances of winning against him are? Luo Kong asked. Falling Dust thought about it and said, I can't say. If I use Buddha Heaven based on the combat strength he displayed previously, I should be able to win. However, I feel that he still hasn't used his full strength. No one knows how many trump cards he has. If he uses soul body fusion again, Buddha Heaven might not be able to withstand the fire suppression and the Sacred Lotus Sword Heart's attack. No way. Even Buddha Heaven can't withstand it? Falling Dust nodded. This guy, although he is an elemental insulator, even without the elemental enhancement, his attack is already very terrifying. Without using soul body fusion, he could instantly kill the 9 bodies ghost chariot. Think about it, if he uses soul body fusion, how terrifying would his attack be? Luo Kong and Luo Shui couldn't help but fall into deep thought. At this moment, Bo Fan suddenly spoke. I heard Nameless say that he only prepared soul body fusion for one person? Yes, Master. He did say that. Actually, I'm also very curious. What kind of person can make him value so much? Moreover, from his tone, it seems like he wants to train his own body's strength. In other words, he doesn't seem very confident. Bo Fan frowned. What kind of opponent could make that freak feel unconfident and eager to become stronger? After returning from the spouse contest, Xianzhen had mentioned to him that Nameless shouldn't have left the Sacred Mountain. Then his opponent should also be in the Sacred Mountain area. But the question was there such a terrifying person in the Sacred Mountain area? Not to mention Nameless, perhaps no one knew who his opponent was. At this moment, someone in the residence came to deliver a message. Mr. Bo, the city lord invites you to the study for a chat. Oh, is there something you need from me so late? Master, can we go? The person lowered his head and reported. Mr. Bo, the city lord only invited you. As for the specifics, I don't know. But the city lord said that you must go. Xianzhen's study. Bo Fan pushed the door open and entered. Senior Bo, I'll take you to see someone. Xianzhen went straight to the point. Bo Fan didn't move and frowned. City Lord Xian, what's the matter? Why are you being so mysterious? Who do you want to see? If you don't tell me clearly, I won't go. Xianzhen smiled and looked at Bo Fan. Senior Bo, are you afraid that I'll harm you? That's not it. You and I have known each other for many years. I also have some friendship with your master. You can say that I watched you grow up. This old man understands your temperament. That's right. But I don't want to follow you around like a headless fly. Hurry up and tell me who you want to see. Xianzhen shook his head and looked at Bo Fan. This old man's temper was still so stubborn. Okay, I'll tell you. I'll take you to see the living Buddha. Living Buddha? Hearing this name, Bo Fan was like being electrocuted. He froze on the spot. Why is he here? Is he still in the dungeon? I knew it. If I tell you, you'll definitely have more questions. Why ask me? Can't you ask the living Buddha himself? Let's go. Anyway, something big is going to happen in the fifth heaven. Chapter 773. In the deepest part of the dark dungeon, a thick stone door blocked the end of the dungeon. The sound of water dripping could be heard clearly. Xianjun took out a key and opened the door. The surrounding torches kept the room from being too dark. Bo Fan looked in front of him and saw an old man with 9 iron chains on his body, piercing through his shoulder blades for limbs, neck, and ankles. Every single chain was made of pitch-black metal and emitted a cold aura. 9 mysterious lock? Bo Fan looked at Xianjun in shock, his face full of questions. Xianjun shook his head. It's not me who wants to use the 9 mysterious lock on him. It's living Buddha's request. Ah, Bo Fan was even more shocked. At this moment, the old man who was tightly bound by the 9 mysterious lock raised his head slightly. His eyes were already festering, and his body was emaciated. He looked like he only had 1 breath left. Senior Living Buddha, Xianjun called out. Living Buddha took a deep breath and said in a weak voice, City Lord, you've brought people here. Senior Living Buddha, do you want me to release you first? Xianjun couldn't bear it. Unexpectedly, this sentence made Living Buddha extremely excited. He shook the chains with force. No, don't release me. Not even for a moment. I've already revealed heaven's secret, and will be punished by heaven. Only the 9 mysterious lock can keep me alive. Bo Fan was even more shocked. What did Living Buddha do to deserve such torture? Senior Living Buddha. Senior Bo was my master's good friend when he was alive. He's also my mentor and friend. He's trustworthy, Xianjun said. And I know. This person's aura is peaceful and he's broad-minded. Living Buddha said weakly, as if every word took a lot of effort. Among his disciples, there's one who can take on a heavy responsibility. Bo Fan was perturbed and asked, Senior Living Buddha, what are you trying to tell me? Who's the disciple you're talking about? What do you want him to do? Living Buddha took a deep breath and looked up at the starry sky outside the window. Calamity starts in Sacred Mountain. Spiritual energy awakens. Calamity descends. All races will be exterminated. Seeking answers from heaven, heaven doesn't speak. Immortals don't speak. There's no solution to this divination. Half a year ago, I observed heaven's secret and found out that calamity starts in Sacred Mountain. As expected, Sacred Mountain's spiritual energy had erupted. This divination is true. Bo Fan sucked in a cold breath. The Living Buddha was one of the top experts of the fifth heaven and should be ranked in the top 10. It was precisely because of this that people like Xianjun and Bo Fan were in awe of him. The Living Buddha was a dual cultivation job, but his job was very interesting. One of the dual cultivation jobs was a monk's 4th job transition job, Heavenly Buddha. This was nothing special. The key was his other profession, the oracle. Oracles originally didn't have any fighting power, but if oracles were a dual profession, then it would be the most terrifying profession. How terrifying was a person who could predict your next move at all times. And the reason why the Living Buddha was called the Living Buddha was because of his superb prediction ability. It could even be said that his identity as an oracle had surpassed his identity as a heavenly Buddha. However, he had predicted this terrifying prophecy, an inexplicably ominous divination. What was even more frightening was that part of this divination had already started to come true. A month ago, the spirit chi of the holy mountain really recovered. Would the following divination come true? Based on the Living Buddha's ability to predict and the results of the previous divination, it was impossible for it to be fake. Perhaps the reason why a famous expert like the Living Buddha would appear in a small place like Wu Bangcheng was to prove his divination. For Living Buddha to not believe in his own prophecy. How terrifying was this prophecy? This. Bo Fan's hands trembled. Senior Living Buddha. Is this divination really unsolvable? Unsolvable. Living Buddha said. Then aren't we just waiting for death? Oh right. Didn't you say that one of my disciples could take on a heavy responsibility? Isn't there a solution? The Living Buddha sneered. I used the Nuwa heavenly array to deduce, and found that the 81 solutions to this divination were all blocked, which means this divination is unsolvable. However, although this divination is unsolvable, what I can't understand is that there are 82 possibilities for this divination's development. And the last possibility, I can't see it clearly no matter what. You can't see it clearly? Yes, I can't see it clearly, the Living Buddha said with certainty. But whether this possibility can solve this catastrophe, I don't know. This matter concerns the survival of thousands of races. Although I'm not a saint, I know that it's 100 times more difficult for humans to reach the 5th layer of heaven compared to other races. If the 5th layer of heaven encounters a heavenly tribulation, the human race will have no successor, which could lead to the extinction of the human race. There was no need for the Living Buddha to explain this point. They were all from the human race, and understood the human race's situation the best. Just like the demon race, they started from the 4th layer of heaven, but the human race climbed up from the 1st layer of heaven. Many of them had to go through the hard work of their families to reach where they were today. If all races at the 5th layer of heaven were to be wiped out, it would be a fatal blow to the human race. In my current situation, I don't have the strength to investigate it personally. The heavenly mystery lock can still protect me for a while. I want to see the outcome of this divination with my own eyes. Bo Fan, one of your disciples, is called Luochen. Xianjun recommended this person to me, saying that this person has a calm mind and good strength. He's one of the most promising newcomers in the sacred mountain. He's also a warrior monk, which is also very important. If you agree, I want to take him as my disciple. Bo Fan finally understood that the Living Buddha wanted Luochen to help him move around outside. Xianjun, this guy, the so-called martial arts competition for marriage was just a cover. His real purpose was to select candidates for this mission. Sure enough, although this guy was a martial arts fanatic, it was impossible for him to become the city lord of Wu Bangqing without any schemes. Although Luochen took the initiative to admit defeat in the battle with Nameless, it was impossible for an expert like Xianjun not to see through the strength and calmness he displayed. Moreover, he and the Living Buddha were both warrior monks, so it was convenient for them to pass on their knowledge. Senior Living Buddha, if Luochen has such an opportunity, I naturally won't object. Besides, this is a matter of great importance. If Luochen can help Senior solve the divination, Bo Fan will fully support it. After returning from the dungeon, Bo Fan didn't speak until he returned to Xianjun's room. Senior Bo, you didn't say a word on the way back. You made me very nervous. Xianjun looked at Bo Fan with a smile. You stinking brat. Bo Fan shook his head. This brat recommended Luochen without informing him. It was more or less stealing the limelight. But then again, this matter was too serious. His opinion wasn't that important. You really don't speak a word of truth. Xianjun hurriedly apologized. Senior Bo, I didn't dare to say. I've been on tenterhooks all day with such an ancestor at home. Senior Living Buddha said that only the 3 of us know about this. I didn't even tell Xianlan. I'm just waiting for Senior Living Buddha to tell me that I can report to my superiors. Only then will I be free. Bo Fan shook his head. Xianjun's words weren't wrong. To be able to obtain the inheritance of the Living Buddha was a great opportunity for Luochen. Thinking of this, Bo Fan didn't pursue the matter any further. Sigh, but I don't understand why you didn't recommend Nameless. He seems to have the skills of a warrior monk. Xianjun shook his head. I suspect that the revival of spiritual qi in the heavenly lake is related to this Nameless. Although I can't confirm whether he is the so-called Heaven's Calamity, his origin is unknown. He doesn't belong to any sect. His actions are both righteous and evil. Why would I recommend him? Bo Fan immediately got angry. Is this a reason? You're only responsible for recommending. It's up to Senior Living Buddha to decide. If you don't tell me the truth, I'm going to flip out. Senior Bo, I'll say it. Xianjun hurriedly said. I really can't hide anything from you. Actually, I definitely recommended him. Senior Living Buddha rejected it at that time. Why? Xianzhen said. Living Buddha said that this person must die. He can't bear the heavy responsibility. Chapter 774. The entire marriage contest might have been a game of chess by Xianzhen, but it made no difference to Lu Chen. He was still staying in the inn, holding a thick stack of tickets. How should he distribute the 35,000 points of tickets? Originally, Lu Chen planned to add all of them to the 3 dimensions, but when he added 30,000 points to physique, he noticed a notification from the system. The 3 dimensions of the body are restricted by the level of the spirit pill. Only with a powerful spirit pill can you transform a strong enough body. Your current spiritual energy is 10,000 points and physique is 30,000 points. After all, the body was different from the battle soul. It was a real body. It could be inferred that the reason why the body was far stronger than ordinary people was because of the spirit pill. Thinking about it this way, it made sense. It seems that I can't blindly add 3 dimensions. Moreover, some places look at the level of the cultivator. Take Wu Bangqing for example. If I didn't have the immortal master level, I might not have been able to enter. Thinking of this, Lu Chen decided to adjust the allocation of points. Anyway, the city lord still owes me 12,000 points. How about this? I'll add 15,000 points to my spiritual energy and 10,000 points to my strength and dexterity. That's 15,000 points. After adding points, Lu Chen's strength and dexterity were both 26,000 points, physique 30,000 points, and spiritual energy 25,000 points. Promoted to 4-star wild cultivator. Current ranking is below 5 million. His ranking increased by 2 million, but he still felt like a nameless Jianghu shrimp. What level is a loose immortal? Lu Chen couldn't help but think of this question. He now knew that there were 3 levels: cultivator, cultivator, and great cultivator. However, he felt that he was still far from immortal. The complete form of devil beast sovereign could perish together with a loose immortal. He was still far from it. Thinking about how devil beast sovereign swallowed a spirit stone mine in a day, this growth speed was simply despairing. That night, when Lu Chen was cultivating, someone suddenly knocked on the door. It was Yan Ling and Huang Xian. Huang Xian was a little unnatural when he saw Lu Chen. After all, he had targeted Lu Chen before. "It's you? Come in." Lu Chen didn't take it to heart and warmly welcomed the 2 of them. "Nameless, are you leaving after getting the cash withdrawal coupons?" Smoke Spirit asked. "Well, I want to go to a bigger city and get more cash coupons," Lu Chen said as he poured tea for the 2 of them. Huang Xian sneaked a glance at the busy Lu Chen. If this guy wasn't fighting, he wouldn't be able to tell that he was an expert. He was just like an ordinary person. "Why don't you join a sect?" Huang Xian suddenly asked. "That way, you'll have a stable source of cash withdrawal scrolls. Although you won't be able to gamble as much as you'll win in terms of stability. I don't want you to come to the Sacred Mountain. After all, the Sacred Mountain is a small place. But you can go to a big sect, or even work in the country." Lu Chen sat down and smiled. "I still have a lot of things to do. I can't stay in one place all the time. By the way, how's the reconstruction of the Holy Mountain going?" "It's pretty good. Because we moved ahead of time, we managed to preserve almost all of our assets. As long as we still have our strength, rebuilding is a small matter." Lu Chen nodded. "Oh, that's right. Grandpa said that in the future, we'll give less rent to the surrounding people." After Yanling finished speaking, she sneaked a glance at Lu Chen. Lu Chen smiled. "Senior Yan is kind-hearted. I didn't help you in vain." Huang Xian sighed. Nameless, he really couldn't figure him out. It was said that he was the one who massacred the Azure Dragon clan. He killed people and plundered the entire Azure Dragon clan's warehouse. He originally thought that he was a cruel person, but in the end, he was so concerned about the commoners. "Nameless, we came here this time because Master asked us to give this to you." After saying that, Huang Xian took out a map and handed it to Lu Chen. "What is this?" Lu Chen took the map. It looked like a map, but it was a bit mottled. Many places couldn't be seen clearly. This map was a bit old. This is the coordinates of the 7 countries. We found it when we were tidying up the warehouse. Yanling said. Because we've always been living in the sacred mountain, we almost never go out. This map has never been used. Grandpa said that you'll definitely go to a farther place. Perhaps you'll need it. Just in time, we'll give it to you during the marriage contest. Lu Chen was pleasantly surprised. Thank you so much. Yanling, Huang Xian. You must thank Senior Yan for me. I really need this. Lu Chen was looking for spirit veins. Now he was like a headless fly. With this map, it would be much better. There were many places on the map that couldn't be seen clearly, but he could roughly see the location and outline. It's good that it's helpful to you. Well, if there's nothing else, we won't disturb your rest. Yanling and Huang Xian stood up and prepared to leave. Lu Chen sent them to the door. Huang Xian turned around and looked at Yanling. This girl was dilly-dallying. He tactfully said, Ling I'll wait for you downstairs. Only Yanling and Lu Chen were left at the door. Is there anything else? Lu Chen asked curiously. That. Yanling's head was lowered. After a long silence, she finally opened her mouth. That day chasing competition, didn't you deliberately miss? You deliberately said that you missed, because you didn't want me to feel like I owed you anything. Lu Chen thought it was something serious. So it was just this small matter. He smiled and said, You and I have no enmity. Why would I be so heavy-handed? You're so beautiful. It's a pity that I disfigured you. Yanling's face instantly turned red. This guy, when did he become so wretched again? Then under the heavenly lake, that kissed me. That I guarantee that I was definitely doing mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. I definitely didn't mean to take advantage of you. Lu Chen hurriedly explained. I don't know how to do that. I only know that I was blowing into your mouth, but I didn't know if I should suck the water out of your lungs. Then, I sucked on your tongue. Sigh, looks like I have to learn some first aid when I go back. Lu Chen held his forehead. The more he explained, the more confused he became. Yanling didn't feel happy. Instead, a trace of disappointment flashed across her eyes. So it was really just to save her. Looks like she was thinking too much. Then you have to learn some first aid knowledge. Yanling raised her head and revealed a bright smile again. If you encounter such a situation again, you won't be treated as a prostitute. Lu Chen shook his head. He really needed to improve. Will you come back in the future? Yanling suddenly asked. Speaking of this, Lu Chen couldn't help but sigh. I don't know. Maybe I won't come back. Yanling nodded. Then take care. The 5th heaven is dangerous and you're alone. Take good care of yourself. I'm already used to it. Their conversation came to an end here. Yanling pursed her lips and nodded heavily. She turned around and went downstairs. Lu Chen also returned to his room. Suddenly, he heard someone shouting outside the window. He ran to the window and opened it. Yanling's figure stood in the night and shouted towards his room. Nameless, do you know how annoying you are? What did I do? Lu Chen was dumbfounded. You must come back. I'll wait for you. After saying that, the girl turned around and ran away. Chapter 775. Lu Chen stayed in Wu Bangqing for 2 more days, and there was a constant stream of visitors. The next morning, there was already a long line of visitors in front of his door. Lu Chen really couldn't stand it anymore. People he knew and didn't know came to chat with him. He really had nothing to talk about, so he took advantage of the fact that no one noticed and escaped through the window. After hiding in a vegetable garden on the outskirts of the city, Lu Chen found someone waiting for him. Falling Dust. Lu Chen was surprised. Falling Dust smiled. Don't worry, it's just me. I'm just here to tell you something. Lu Chen frowned slightly and listened. Nameless, the next time we meet, I'm afraid we'll be enemies and not friends. You have to be careful. I won't admit defeat again, and I won't be merciful. Lu Chen frowned. What was wrong with this guy? He suddenly became so mysterious. Also, how did he know he would run here? The path he chose was completely random, and he had never been here before. Could it be that this guy could predict the future? However, Lucien had to admit that when he saw falling dust this time, the feeling he gave him was completely different from the last time. He could feel a sense of oppression. Lucien smiled. I don't want us to be enemies, but if that day comes, don't worry, I won't be merciful. Falling dust lowered his head and smiled. In the blink of an eye, he was already far away. After hiding outside for an entire day, it was finally time for Xianzhen to fulfill his promise. Xianzhen handed the remaining 12,000 points to Lucien. He looked at Lucien with a strange gaze. Nameless, where are you going next? Lucien shook his head. I don't know. Xianzhen took a deep breath and suddenly asked, do you know about the oracle? Do you believe in their prophecies? Of course Lucien knew. He seemed to have killed an oracle before. He didn't know why City Lord Xian would ask such a question. Lucien didn't even think about it. I don't. You don't believe? The oracle's prophecies are very accurate. Lucien sneered. I have a friend who told me that the most precious right of a person is to make a choice. My path cannot be decided by others. Xianzhen was momentarily dazed. This guy still didn't know that his fate had already been fixed in the living Buddha's prophecy. However, could a person who did not believe in fate go against the heavens and change his fate? Xianzhen took a deep breath, looked at the sky, and said with a smile, I'm really looking forward to this collision. What collision? Xianzhen shook his head. It's nothing. Nameless. I wish you a safe journey. Thank you. Looking at Lucien's departing back, Xianzhen let out a long sigh. The world is in chaos. In this chaotic world, the collisions between powerhouses will be wonderful. As for you, your struggle against fate, what will the result be? Between you and him, who can defy the heavens and change fate? I hope I have the chance to live to see the end of all this. Lucien added 5,000 points to his spiritual energy, reaching 30,000 spiritual energy. First, he raised his cultivation level to 5-star wild cultivator. The remaining 7,000 points were converted into 21,000 points of 3D attributes, averaging 3D attributes at 34,000 points. The addition of points was quickly completed. Then, he left the city and headed north. Damn, I'm back in the wilderness again. As expected of a wild cultivator. This time, Lucien learned his lesson and directly drove his super shuttle to hasten his journey. The fifth layer of heaven is a complete planet. A planet only has 7 countries. One can imagine how big a country is. After rushing for a day, Lucien judged that he should be out of the sacred mountain area. At night, as usual, he rested by the stream in the forest to fish. The others prepared dinner, or went to look for herbs. While fishing, Lucien opened the map of the 7 countries to check. Synchronize my personal map. Map cannot be recognized. The plates have deviated. Unable to synchronize. Ah! Lucien exclaimed. The fish that were almost hooked were scared away by him. This was the first time he encountered such a situation. He actually couldn't synchronize his personal map. The plates have shifted. No, then when is this map? Lucien said in despair. If the plates have shifted, doesn't that mean this map is useless? He tried again, but the system still gave him the same prompt. In short, his personal map couldn't be synchronized. Damn, old smoke, old smoke. What era is your sacred mountain heavenly lake? Why is the map so old? Lucien couldn't help but complain. After complaining for a long time, Lucien had no choice but to check the map patiently. He enlarged the map of Dongyu country, and then the sacred mountain area. The map didn't show the location of Heavenly Lake, but there was the sacred mountain. Comparing the map that he had explored, Lucien judged that the approximate location of the sacred mountain was correct. So, it's not that I can't read the map at all. The movement of the tectonic plates might cause me to be unable to synchronize my personal map. But after the movement of the large tectonic plates, the internal structure might still be intact. When I look at the map, I can only look at part of it. The main coordinates within the same plate should still be usable. In any case, at least it was better than walking with his eyes closed. Well, it's not completely useless. Lucien nodded, slightly comforting. It's understandable that the map doesn't show any forces. But it shouldn't show a city as big as Wu Bangcheng. Could it be that before this map was drawn, Wu Bangcheng didn't exist? Lu Chen thought of this possibility. Lu Chen found the approximate location of Wu Bangcheng. There was a basin floor there, which didn't correspond to the current terrain at all. Lu Chen, who had just raised a glimmer of hope, suddenly said, "Tectonic shift? Damn, I can't look anymore." Just as Lu Chen was about to give up, he suddenly thought of something. "No, I want to find the spiritual source, and the 5 spiritual sources should have existed a long time ago. Then this old map might just be able to help me." Thinking of this, Lu Chen couldn't help but shudder. He hurriedly checked the location of the sacred mountain. The sacred mountain didn't show the heavenly lake, which meant that the heavenly lake didn't form at that time. The heavenly lake was actually a volcanic lake. When the spirit chi recovered, the heavenly lake's water almost gushed out. At that time, the sacred mountain was still gushing out spirit chi, so the heavenly lake didn't form. Lu Chen's eyes widened. This unsynchronized map was what he needed. Then where's the next spiritual source? Lu Chen quickly searched on the map. Unfortunately, the map marked the sacred mountain, but it didn't say that the sacred mountain had a spiritual source. This is a little troublesome, Lu Chen thought. Right, the map shows a city in the north. If this city existed at that time, maybe I can find some clues. While Lu Chen was studying the map, Lu Chen also found a strange place. There were some strange red dots on the map. Even though the surrounding area was blurred, the location of the red dots could still be vaguely seen. Even the spiritual source isn't marked. Then the red dots marked here should be something extremely important. Lu Chen frowned. Could it be a part of the Celestial and Demon set? Or the second volume of the 9 transformations of Celestial and Demon? After a long time, Lu Chen couldn't find any other clues from the map. He carefully put the map away. 5th heaven, there are too many hidden secrets. Let's take it one step at a time. Let's go to Lower King City first. Chapter 776. Along the way, Lu Chen passed by many cities. Every time he arrived at a city, he would enter the city to search for cash withdrawal tickets. However, unfortunately, Wu Bangcheng's pharmacy owner was right. Lu Chen found that the closer he got to the central city, the more scarce the cash withdrawal tickets were. There were no cash withdrawal tickets being sold, but there were a lot of cash withdrawal tickets being collected. Along the way, Lu Chen did not receive any cash withdrawal tickets, only some immortal pill withdrawal tickets. However, after going to many places, Lu Chen finally found a teleportation array. In a small city more than 10 miles away from Lower King City, Lu Chen found a teleportation array. It had been 2 or 3 months since he came to the 5th layer of heaven. Lu Chen hurriedly paid 100,000 spirit stones and teleported back to Earth. After the familiar black hole teleportation, Lu Chen opened his eyes again and found himself lying in his game cabin. Opening the cabin door, Lu Chen walked out of the room. I'm finally back on Earth. Lu Chen took a deep breath and found that the air quality was really different from the other world. But no matter what, he was finally back. He immediately ran to Lu Yi's room and knocked on the cabin door. "Fatty, what are you doing?" Lu Yi quickly responded. "Brother, aren't you going to level up?" Lu Chen frowned slightly. Could it be that Lu Yi did not know that her game cabin was different? "You didn't go to see me?" "See you." "Oh, where are you going to look? You've already teleported your true body." Lu Chen's eyes widened. "How did you know?" "The guide said so." "Guide? They told you in reality?" Lu Chen asked curiously. Now more and more people have entered the 4th layer of heaven. Someone left a note for the United Front Command, telling us that the 5th layer of heaven requires the body to transmigrate. However, they did not inform us specifically because of you. They meant to let the powerhouses on Earth change to the best game cabin. This is because the game helmet can't meet the needs of transmigration. They hope that the United Front Department will popularize gaming cabins as soon as possible. Now, the military enterprises of various countries have already cooperated with Tianxing to produce a large number of gaming cabins. However, the price will be half of the ones we use. This is to prevent our development from being slowed down due to the lack of gaming cabins when we reach level 5. Lu Chen couldn't help but ask in surprise, "How many of you are at the 4th heavenly layer now?" "About 2,000 people." "Yes, this speed is faster than I expected." Lu Chen nodded. With these guides leading the way, the development is indeed much faster than before. It's just that we don't know their identities yet, so we still have to be on our guard. Did they say anything else about the 5th layer of heaven? They didn't say anything else. They hope that we can gradually rely on ourselves and reduce our dependence on them. Lu Chen nodded. It's better to teach a man how to fish than to give him a fish. They're right. The key is still to be strong. Brother, our guide plan is already quite effective. We choose the best of the best from the players and concentrate our efforts to cultivate the strong. Currently, there are a few very strong opponents. I have to make myself stronger, so I won't accompany you. This girl. It was rare for him to come back, but he was being despised. Okay. Oh, by the way, I have a few pills here. You can eat them. I got them on the spot. Immortal spirit pills? Immortal body pills. Brother, these are very expensive. Why are you wasting money? Lu Chen wanted to say that the current situation was that he couldn't use his money. Brother, eat them yourself. You're transmigrating now. This isn't a joke. It's better for your body to be stronger. It's okay. I still have some. Lu Chen stuffed a dozen pills into Lu Yi's hands. I'm often not by your side and can't protect you. You must be careful. Let me know when you reach the 5th heaven. Brother. Oh, by the way, how are you and Gufei? Speaking of this, Lu Yi was a little embarrassed. Brother, he takes good care of us. He's a heaven general now. We're all in his immortal army. Looking at Lu Yi's expression, it probably wasn't as simple as taking good care of them. Last time, you said that he had to defeat you to be your brother-in-law. Then that guy cultivated hard every day. Lu Chen laughed out loud. He was just joking. How could he not know his own strength? It was impossible for a 4th celestial layer to agree to his request. A spirit chi refinement was enough to make him invincible. It's good to be stronger. Okay, I'm here to give you pills. Go cultivate. I'll go eat something and return to the game. Brother, I won't accompany you then. After all, the guide plan was an opportunity for a few people. Lu Yi had to work 100 times harder to seize this opportunity. Lu Chen naturally wouldn't blame her. Putting on his cap, Lu Chen went outside the neighborhood to eat. In the past, when he returned to Earth to eat, he felt very satisfied. No matter how similar the simulation in the game was, it was still a game. But this time, eating a steaming hot bun, Lu Chen actually felt that it wasn't as delicious as Jiutian. Looks like I'm getting more and more used to Jiutian. After eating, Lu Chen returned home and teleported to the 5th heaven. When he opened his eyes, the sky was blue and the air was fresh. This beautiful and picturesque world hid an unimaginable crisis, which made Lu Chen inexplicably excited. He had been in Jiutian for too long, and had forgotten the feeling of exploring a different world. A real different world. This small city was called Jinan City. There was no level requirement to enter the city. People came and went, and it felt more lively than Wu Bangcheng. Almost all the people walking on the road were cultivators and above. There were also quite a few grand cultivators. It was close to the big city, King's Lower City, and the people nearby were much stronger than Sacred Mountain. Here, Lu Chen was a 5-star wild cultivator. Other than the word wild, his level was not conspicuous at all. Jinan City extended in all directions. To the north was King's Lower City, to the south was Sacred Mountain, to the Shilin Waterway, and to the east was another big city, Snow Mountain City. There was even a teleportation array in the city. Because of this, although Jinan City was not big, it had a large population. Caravans, armies, mercenaries, and various forces could be seen here. Lu Chen planned to stay here for a few days to replenish his supplies. Besides, there were many people here, so it should be a good place to gather information. Of course, there was another reason. After being a wild man for almost a month, he wanted to live the life of a city person. There was an open space near the entrance of the city. This was the place where commission missions gathered. Is there anyone willing to accept the commission mission? There are 5 3-star cultivators and above. Help us escort the goods to Snow Mountain City. The reward is 200,000 spirit stones each, plus 1,000 cash withdrawal coupons. Snow Mountain City? Friend, we have to cross the Snow Mountain. You're just giving us 400,000? Someone questioned. He had already converted the cash withdrawal coupons into spirit stones. Friend, we're just hoping to find some experts to help us. After all, this is a small business. We can't afford to hire escorts. We can take a detour from the Snow Mountain. That's not a problem. If we can take a detour, the price is not bad. Count me in. Lu Chen was willing to accept this mission. If he accepted it alone, the reward of 1 million spirit stones and 10,000 cash withdrawal coupons was not bad. However, his level was too low. Speaking of which, why didn't many people want to go through the Snow Mountain? Was there something in the Snow Mountain? If there was, he did not mind going there to take a look. At this moment, Lu Chen saw 2 people standing beside him. One was an old man, and the other was a young woman. The old man looked around cautiously. He stood beside the young woman and did not leave her side. The young woman was holding a piece of paper with a commission mission written on it. Escort to Snow Mountain City in 3 days. Set off tomorrow. Reward, 20,000 cash withdrawal coupons. Chapter 777. 20,000 cash withdrawal tickets were equivalent to 4 million spirit stones, and this was something that couldn't be bought with money. Lu Chen noticed that many people were tempted by this reward. Miss, can you take a detour? If I use my mount, it will take about 4 days to reach Snow Mountain City. The girl didn't say anything and just shook her head. That person could only give up. Sigh, miss, if you want to pass through the Snow Mountain without an earth cultivator, you'll be courting death. It's rare to meet an earth cultivator in Jinan City, and they won't be interested in your reward. The girl didn't answer, but her eyes were a little dim, as if she knew that her chances were slim. Earth cultivator? Could it be that those above great cultivator were earth cultivators? Lu Chen guessed. At this time, the old man behind the girl said, "We can find more people. The things on the Snow Mountain won't be useful with more people. More people will only increase your chances of successfully escaping, not the chances of defeating it." The old man sighed. "We only have so many people. Whether or not anyone is willing to accept it will depend on luck." Hearing the old man's words, the people who were interested in this mission shook their heads and left. "Swear, it seems that no one will accept this mission." The old man sighed. "It's okay, this old servant swears to protect you with his life." "Granduncle, I don't want anything to happen to you." The girl actually knew how to talk. "We still have 1 day, let's wait a little longer." At this moment, an ordinary man dressed in the clothes of the working people walked in front of them. The 2 of them looked at the guy who was scratching his head in surprise. 5-star cultivator was too far away from their requirements. Lu Chen looked at the mission again and suddenly said, "Can I add a point?" "Young man, you want to accept this mission?" Granduncle looked at Lu Chen in surprise. "Do you know that this mission is very dangerous?" Lu Chen pursed his lips. "It should be very dangerous. I saw that those people didn't dare to accept it just now. Since you know you're a 5-star cultivator." A wild cultivator? You're a wild cultivator?" Lu Chen's face darkened. "Uncle, what do you mean by wild? I just didn't join a sect. I'm also a normal cultivator, okay? You're still a wild cultivator, even though you're a cultivator. Do all the other sects dislike you?" Lu Chen realized that he couldn't continue this conversation. "I'll say it again, it's not that the other sects don't want me, it's because I didn't join any sects. Damn it, do unorthodox cultivators have no dignity?" Lu Chen really wanted to tell them how many sects were fighting over him. However, judging from their current attitude towards him, no one would believe him even if he told them. "No, let's talk about business, okay? Don't argue about whether it's wild or not. Can you guys add a little more?" The Grand Elder and the girl looked at each other. This person looked strange. "Young man, sigh. Although you are a bit strange, I don't want you to lose your life for some cash extraction scrolls. You can't do this mission. You should leave. What's on the snowy mountain? Lu Chen suddenly asked. The girl couldn't help but say, you don't even know who's on the snowy mountain, yet you dare to accept this mission? Sure enough, the ignorant are fearless. Lu Chen smiled slightly. I'm just curious. I heard you guys talking just now. It seems like no one will accept your price. How about this? I'll accept the mission. If I can deliver it, you can pay me later. If not, of course, I'll be dead by then. You can save your money. Young man, are you really that stubborn? Lu Chen smiled slightly. I can't help it. I'm short of cash extraction scrolls now. 20,000 is fine. It seems like you can't give me more. Sigh. Every day, you're making a loss. If you found a suitable candidate, you don't have to look for me. If not, we'll meet here tomorrow. After saying that, Lu Chen turned around and left, leaving the old man and the girl stunned. Grand Elder, is there something wrong with his brain? Seems a little. But if you pay after the mission, we don't seem to have lost anything. With more people on the road, your chances of escaping will be higher. I still don't want to take him. I feel like he's just here to fool around. His level isn't even higher than mine. If we escape, he doesn't do anything and still asks us for money. Wouldn't that be a loss? The Grand Elder shook his head. He couldn't understand what Lu Chen meant. Could it be that he really couldn't think it through? As long as you can escape, no amount of money is a loss. Sai, we'll talk about it later. The next day, Lu Chen arrived early at the square where the commission missions were issued. There were still a large number of commission missions here. Escort, hunting, etc. However, after looking at it, the mission from yesterday had the highest profit. Snowy Mountain. Lu Chen frowned slightly. For 20,000 cash extraction scrolls, I'll delay it for a few days. Besides, there might not be anything I want to know in Lower King City. Not long after he arrived, the old man and the young man also appeared in the square. However, they didn't pay attention to Lu Chen and continued to recruit. Unfortunately, a whole morning had passed. There were many people asking, but still, no one accepted the mission. For some reason, they had to pass through the snowy mountain and refused to take a detour. Near noon, the Grand Elder finally came over. Young man, have you thought about it? Are you sure you want to accept this mission? Let me tell you, if you meet that guy, you have to make enough contributions. If you're just here to fool around, don't blame us for not paying you in the end. Lu Chen smiled slightly. After fishing for so long, his patience had improved. Look, the fish took the bait. Of course. Lu Chen smiled. But now, can you tell me what's on the snowy mountain? One of the 7 magical beast generals, the 8-tailed snow fox. 7 magical beast generals? You, forget it. Who asked you to be a rogue cultivator? It's normal that you don't know such common knowledge. The Grand Elder shook his head and said, the magical beasts in the 5th layer of heaven are quite powerful. Among them, the 7 magical beast generals, the 4 heavenly kings, and the Zhizun are the most terrifying existences. The 8-tailed snow fox is only 1 tail away from 9 tails. Once it reaches 9 tails, even an earth cultivator will die. Originally, the 8-tailed snow fox rarely appeared. However, in recent months, it has begun to appear frequently in the snowy mountain area. Therefore, people don't dare to pass through the snowy mountain. But we have to go through the snowy mountain. Lu Chen nodded. Okay, I know. Are you ready? If you are, we will set off. You still want to go? Lu Chen smiled. Of course, let's take a gamble. Who knows, maybe we won't meet it. Then I'll get 20,000 cash withdrawal tickets for free. The Grand Elder almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This guy really had a problem with his brain. It turned out that he was holding on to this kind of wishful thinking. You, I'm just joking. Have a sense of humor. I used to have an old man as a good friend. He was much more humorous than you. Let's go. I will escort you on this journey. 7 magical beast generals? Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. Very good. Even if he didn't accept this mission, he would still go and see how strong the so-called 7 magical beast generals were. Chapter 778. The old man and the woman didn't have anything to pack, and Lu Chen didn't have anything to prepare either. He had already bought food the day before, so he could leave the city directly. The group went east and left Jinan City. Ahem, young man, you're going the wrong way. It's this way. The old man stopped Lu Chen, who was leading the way. He didn't even know the way, yet he found such a bodyguard. It was really unreliable. Lu Chen could only follow behind the two. Hey uncle, miss, how should I address you? You can call me grand uncle. You don't have to talk to her. If you have any questions, just ask me, the grand uncle said. So cold. He doesn't even want to talk to me. However, Lu Chen didn't care. The other party didn't ask Lu Chen how to address him. It seemed that they weren't interested in knowing. Grand uncle, why do you have to go through the snow mountain? If you're in a hurry, you can go ahead, Lu Chen asked. Don't you know the rules? Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. We know what we're doing. You just have to protect our safety. The grand uncle's tone was a bit stiff. Lu Chen shook his head. It seemed that they didn't think much of him. They were probably just trying their luck. Anyway, he would pay when he got the goods, so they didn't lose anything. Anyway, it really had nothing to do with him. His purpose was to see if he could meet the eight-tailed snow fox and earn some cash withdrawal tickets. After walking for a few miles, the surrounding air gradually became cold. A layer of frost had already appeared on the surrounding foothills. The temperature changed so quickly. Lu Chen sighed. The old man raised his hand and motioned for Lu Chen to stop. Schwer, we're about to enter the snow mountain. Get ready. Okay. The girl and the grand uncle took off their cloaks. It was interesting. Normal people would put on clothes when they were in the snow, but cultivators would take off their clothes. Actually, for cultivators with their physical strength, this low temperature was completely bearable. Taking off their clothes should mean that they were ready to fight at any time. Their badges were exposed as well. The girl was actually a 4-star great cultivator. The grand uncle's badge was even more exaggerated. Lu Chen had never seen it before. 1-star earth cultivator? Lu Chen said in surprise. In contrast, Lu Chen's 5-star wild cultivator was just here to join in the fun. Damn, your levels are so high. Grand uncle, what is the rank of 1-star earth cultivators? Lu Chen was in a good mood and asked curiously. You'll know when you get there. Tai Shu didn't seem to be in the mood to talk about this with Lu Chen. He said snappily. Kid, if you encounter Hachibi and dare to run first, I'll kill you first. Lu Chen blinked his eyes, then smiled and said, Impossible, impossible. I have professional ethics. Don't worry, I will never run first. Granduncles, the grand uncle is grand's grand uncle. Grand uncle, why don't we let him go now? He's too weak and useless. The grand uncle shook his head and said, Grand uncle, why don't we let him go now? The grand uncle thought for a while and shook his head. You know my injury. Originally, I wanted to recruit a 7-star great cultivator. That way we still have a chance. But now if we encounter an 8-tailed beast, I can't win alone. I can only say that one more person means one more chance to escape. If it doesn't work, we can let him be cannon fodder. Grand uncle, although that guy is a bit unlikable, using him as cannon fodder, isn't it a bit? The grand uncle knew Schwer too well. She didn't want that silly boy to follow them, because she was soft-hearted. Schwer, look at the situation. Your safety is the most important thing now. One person dying is better than hundreds of thousands, or millions of people dying. If I'm in my best condition, I naturally won't let this innocent boy die with me. But I'm old. Grand uncle, Schwer couldn't bear to look at the grand uncle. If it weren't for him, she would have died countless times. Since she was young, the grand uncle had saved her countless times. He called himself an old servant, but in Schwer's heart, even her biological grandfather was inferior to him. How could she bear to see him blame himself? Granduncle Schwer will listen to your arrangements. The granduncle looked back at Lu Chen. That guy was staring at the snow mountain in a daze. He felt that he wasn't smart. The granduncle sighed. It seemed that he could only be cannon fodder. After discussing, the two returned to Lu Chen's side. Okay, let's go. Lu Chen also didn't know that he had been defined as cannon fodder. His heart was full of expectations for the 7 magical beast generals, as he followed the two. After walking for a few more miles, an endless mountain range appeared in front of the 3 of them. At this time, the temperature had already dropped below 0, and the ground was frozen solid. Looking into the distance, there was already snow not far away. Further away, it had already begun to be covered in white snow. This is the snow mountain? Yes, after crossing this mountain, your mission is over, the granduncle said. Entering the snow mountain is the 8 Tails territory. In addition to the 8 Tails, there are many magical beasts here. We can't use mounts to pass through here, so let's hurry. Wuxia nodded. Okay, let's go. As the 3 of them went deeper into the snow mountain, the snow on the ground became deeper and deeper. In the vast expanse of white snow, only their footsteps were left. The cold wind whistled, and the snowflakes blew on their faces. Wuxia's beautiful face was covered in a layer of frost. Damn, this road is really difficult. Wuxia couldn't help but sigh. He didn't know if it was because the 3 of them were lucky, but they didn't encounter any magical beasts until nightfall. After walking for half a day, the 3 of them rested under a solid rock. The granduncle had brought a lot of dry wood and cleared out a place to set up a fire. The fire finally brought a trace of warmth. The girl and the granduncle sat together, eating the dry food they had brought. Wuxia was focused on roasting fish over the fire. Wuxia's cooking and fishing skills had risen quite high. Now his cooking skills were not inferior to chasing clouds. Hey, want some roasted fish? Wuxia called out. No. The granduncle refused. Wuxia shook his head. The 2 of them were especially vigilant. He didn't know their identities. After dinner, Wuxia said to the 2, then you 2 rest. I'll be on night duty. This time, the 2 of them didn't say anything. The granduncle closed his eyes to rest. The girl should have really fallen asleep. Wuxia stood on the rock above, looking at the sea of snow in the night. 8 Tails, when will you appear? Wuxia shook his head. At this moment in the surrounding snow, several pairs of dark green night pearls flashed. They were approaching them step by step. Wuxia slightly narrowed his eyes. Those were obviously not night pearls. They were emitting a powerful aura. Wuxia stood up and slightly narrowed his eyes. Legendary magical beasts? Or should it be called dragon seed? In short, after coming to the 5th layer of heaven for so long, except for the little golden carp, this should be the first time he encountered one. Then let's meet them. Night flash shadow. In the blink of an eye, Wuxia had disappeared. Chapter 779. Wuxia had yet to see what they looked like, so he wanted to lead them away from the camp. Those magical beasts were indeed in hot pursuit, and soon they were far away. With the help of the moonlight, Wuxia finally saw these magical beasts. Their heads looked like snow wolves, but their bodies were as thick as tigers. There were a total of 8 of them, and each of them was 7 to 8 meters tall. The muscles on their bodies were even more obvious than the wild beasts Wuxia had encountered before, to the point that they looked uncoordinated. They look a bit like the divine beast Swanni, but their muscles are too developed. Wuxia frowned slightly. If all dragon-type magical beasts were like this, then imagine how dangerous it would be for the commoners to hunt such terrifying creatures. Even if the magical beasts in the sacred mountain were much weaker than this, to the commoners, they were still terrifying existences. It was no wonder that the dragon hunting village lost a few dozen people and ended up with nothing in the end. The 8 Swanni had already surrounded Wuxia. They opened their bloody mouths and greedily stared at their prey. Wuxia took a deep breath. He would not use soul body as one now, which meant that he would have to fight these guys with his original body. War god possession. Demon transformation. Divine demon symbiosis. Wuxia instantly transformed. At this moment, his albino appearance was quite compatible with the snow mountain. At the same time, Wuxia drew out the limitless demon god sword, his eyes filled with killing intent. Let me see what's so special about you guys. The sacred lotus sword heart could not be used. After all, it only recovered once every 10 days. Wuxia had used it once last time, and it had not recovered yet. He only had 2 more chances to use it. Ghostly shadows. Descend. In an instant, Lu Chen descended in front of a Swanni. 3,000 body flash. Leaving behind an illusion, Lu Chen's original body was already as fast as lightning, attacking the Swanni 11 times. The Swanni probably did not expect this human's attack to be so strong. Immediately, deep wounds were left on the Swanni's body, and it was instantly killed. Roar. The other Swanni were unable to restrain their anger, and they all pounced at Lu Chen. You guys are fast, but unfortunately, you guys are no match for me. 7 stars chasing the moon. Lu Chen calmly dodged. Fierce tiger descends the mountain. Psionic spatial cannon. Suppressive fire. With 50 shots, the 6 Swanni were instantly killed. In the blink of an eye, there was only one left. Lu Chen frowned slightly. These so-called magical beasts seemed to be much weaker than he had imagined. They didn't have any special skills. I'm a little disappointed. Lu Chen shook his head. You guys are just a little stronger than the wild beasts of the 4th celestial layer. How could you make the immortal cultivators so afraid? Before he could finish his sentence, the 6 Swanni that had fallen to the ground suddenly flipped over and stood up again. After reviving, the wounds on their bodies healed rapidly. Their eyes turned from green to red, and the ferocity in their eyes was even stronger than before. Fuck, what the hell is this? Lu Chen couldn't help but take a step back. If this was the 4th heaven, then resurrection was nothing. If Lu Chen did not use the 3 lives reincarnation, then he would have 3 chances to resurrect. However, to be revived at the 5th heaven was extremely strange. This was equivalent to the death of one's physical body and being revived again. After reviving, these Swanni's speed was even faster than before. They rushed towards Lu Chen from all directions. 9 void steps. Lu Chen didn't have time to think and quickly moved. Spiritual energy storm. Suppressive fire. From the beginning to the end, Lu Chen had kept 1 Swanni and didn't attack. 50 shots of the psionic cannon directly shot towards the 7 revived Swanni. Roar. The 7 Swanni opened their bloody mouths and released spiritual energy beams from their mouths, directly bombarding the psionic cannon. Boom 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 boom, a series of explosions sounded. More than 10 psionic cannons directly exploded in the air. Taking advantage of the moment when the psionic cannons exploded, a few white figures had already pounced towards Lu Chen. This, after reviving, they became even stronger. Lu Chen hurriedly retreated and swung his great ravager. Just as Lu Chen seemed to be escaping, he suddenly activated a skill. Ghostly shadows, descent. In the blink of an eye, his real body had already descended beside one of the Swanni. I don't believe that I can't kill you. 3,000 body flash. This sudden attack caught the Swanni off guard, and allowed Lu Chen to succeed in his sneak attack. After another instant kill, Lu Chen didn't dare to stay any longer. He quickly dodged and kept a distance from the other 7 Swanni. While fighting with the other Swanni, Lu Chen was also paying attention to this Swanni that he killed for the 2nd time. All 4 of its limbs were cut off by you. It won't revive again, right? What one feared would happen. After lying on the ground for a while, the Swanni suddenly quivered and opened its eyes again. The 4 limbs that were cut off grew back, and its eyes had already turned pure black. Damn. Lu Chen sucked in a breath of cold air. This was the first time he had encountered such an opponent. After reviving for the 2nd time, this Swanni's strength had increased greatly. Its speed was much faster than the other Swanni. Its normal movement speed was almost comparable to rapid movement. In a flash, it appeared in front of Lu Chen and roared fiercely at Lu Chen. Lu Chen suddenly felt the world spinning, and his consciousness was temporarily in chaos. Sound attack. If he were to fight in his original form, a single careless mistake could lead to his death. Even if his opponents were these demonic beasts, Lu Chen couldn't afford to make any mistakes. But as salvation, Lu Chen had no choice but to use one of his trump cards to forcefully remove the negative state. Seeing that the Swanni had caught up and was about to attack, Lu Chen, who had just recovered, didn't have time to dodge. Lu Chen could only defend by attacking, and quickly activated his skill. Universal Annihilation, Skyquake. He stomped on the ground, and the Swanee beside him were all sent flying. However, Lu Chen hesitated. Should he accept the following combo? Killing it wouldn't make him stronger, right? Damn it, why is it so difficult to deal with? Lu Chen's mind raced. Could it be that this thing can't be killed? Impossible. In the end, Lu Chen didn't accept the other combos of universal annihilation. He couldn't think of a countermeasure. Killing it would only make the battle more difficult. As he fled into the distance, he calmed himself down. The dragon-type demonic beasts that the villagers hunted, even if they weren't as strong as the Swanee, might have something in common. If they could kill it, then there was no way he couldn't defeat it. The problem now wasn't that he couldn't kill it, but that these guys could keep resurrecting. Every time they resurrected, they would be stronger than the last. Their limbs can regenerate, which means that when I killed them, I didn't hit their vital points. Let's try to break through their spiritual core. Lu Chen found a few Swanee that had only died once. Heaven's Eye. Bestowal Liberation. Activating Heaven's Eye, Lu Chen found the location of the Swanee's spiritual core. Bestowal Liberation flashed by and broke through the spiritual core. However, not long after, the Swanee resurrected again. Damn, the spiritual core is broken, and it can still resurrect. What the hell? Lu Chen almost collapsed. Let's try the heart. This time, Lu Chen chose to attack the Swanee's heart. With a sword, the Swanee howled and fell to the ground. Resurrected. Lu Chen almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Did these Bai Wu really have no weakness? Shwe. Woke up from her sleep and found the Taishu sitting beside her. His eyes were nervously looking around, and he was calling her name, trying to wake her up. She looked around again, but there was no trace of that cultivator boy. Taishu, what's wrong? Where's that cultivator? The Taishu looked around. I don't know. Shwe, wake up first. There's a sound around. It doesn't sound like the wind. There might be a demonic beast nearby. What demonic beast? At this time, it should be the polar Swanee. Polar Swanee? That thing can't be killed. Shwe's eyes widened, and the trace of sleepiness had disappeared. It's not that it can't be killed. The polar Swanee of the Snow Mountain are 5th-grade dragon species. If we kill a 5th-grade Swanee, they will die. It's just that Swanee always move in groups. If we want to kill a 5th-grade Swanee, I won't be able to do it without using soul body as one. Let's leave this place first. Shwe hurriedly got up. What about that cultivator? We don't have time to care about him now. Maybe it's a good thing for him to leave early. Let's leave this place first. Chapter 780. Lu Chen had already brought these Bayan far away, but he was now in a tough battle. The Bayan chased after him relentlessly. Lu Chen had no choice but to kill them a few more times. As a result, 7 of these Bayan had already revived 4 times. This was the result of Lu Chen's efforts to balance their strength. If one of them died 5 times, it would be even more troublesome. The current Bayan was on a completely different level compared to the beginning. Their speed was so fast that it was difficult to see them with the naked eye. Lu Chen had to use Heaven's Eye and keep moving to barely deal with them. Moreover, their moves had become more lethal. With sound attacks and ice elements, Lu Chen did not dare to be careless. Lu Chen was also complaining incessantly. He had originally come to deal with the 8-tailed beast, but as soon as he entered the snowy mountain, he encountered a few small fries that could make him so miserable. He even had to activate 3 lives reincarnation to ensure that his displacement skill did not have a cooldown. No, they're too fast. They want to surround me now. Lu Chen's mind raced. The situation was getting more and more dangerous. He had to change. I have to kill all of them at once. Only by taking advantage of the respawn time can I have a chance to escape. After making up his mind, Lu Chen gritted his teeth, braked, and quickly gathered power. Tiger descends the mountain. Sacred Lotus Sword Heart. Now only this skill could allow Lu Chen to kill all 8 Bai, and at the same time. 1080 Sword Aura shot out from the infinite divine demon sword. For a moment, the snowy night seemed to be illuminated at this moment. The Bai-in at the front was about to pounce over, but after a few slashes, it was forcefully stunned. At this moment, its claws were only a few dozen centimeters away from Lu Chen. It was obvious how tightly these wild beasts were chasing after him. The sword auras hit the bai and like a storm, dismembering several of them in an instant. Of the 8 bai, and except for one that was killed for the first time, the rest had died for the 5th time. Run. Night flash. Lu Chen did not even look back as he turned and ran. If these guys resurrected, Lu Chen would really be in danger. In the blink of an eye, Lu Chen disappeared without a trace. After a long while, Lu Chen took a deep breath and looked back. Those monsters had finally stopped chasing him. Fuck, luckily they didn't catch up. My stamina is already exhausted. Lu Chen stopped, his hands on his knees as he panted heavily. He turned around to confirm again, but there was still nothing behind him. Ah, what the hell is this? Is it because you can't afford to play it? How are you going to play it if you resurrect infinitely? Lu Chen took a deep breath and stood up straight. Not long after, a lone figure appeared behind Lu Chen. Lu Chen was so scared that he quickly hid behind a rock. No way, he still caught up. Lu Chen checked his own stamina. He was unable to continue fighting. Why is there only one? Its eyes are red, so it should be the one that died once. Lu Chen carefully observed. The Tao Wu was running, but it seemed to be in a sorry state. It did not look like it was chasing him, but more like it was running away. It saw Lu Chen's footprints and actually chose to run in another direction? What's going on? Lu Chen was puzzled. When the Tao Wu ran far away, Lu Chen crawled out of the snow. Without a doubt, this Tao Wu was definitely the weakest of the 8. After all, it had only died once. Logically speaking, if they wanted to kill him, it should be the last one. However, there was only one now, and it looked like it was avoiding him. It can't be afraid of me, right? Lu Chen narrowed his eyes as he thought of this. He did not believe in infinite resurrection, especially after seeing this Tao Wu's abnormal behavior. Lu Chen could not help but want to go back and take a look. Xiao Min, give me an invisibility spell. Let's go back and take a look. Back at the previous battlefield, Lu Chen saw the dark red ground from afar. The corpses of the Tao Wu were still lying in the snow, and the snow had already been dyed red with blood. They didn't resurrect? Lu Chen's eyes widened as he carefully approached. The corpses on the ground were incomplete, just like when Lu Chen killed them. Ha ha ha. They really didn't resurrect. Lu Chen quickly approached. Looking at the corpses, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. It was not because he had killed 7 Tao Wu, but because he had found a way to kill them. So they died after 5 kills. If I had known, I wouldn't have had to run so desperately. If the system had experienced notifications, Lu Chen would not have been unaware that he had killed a Tao Wu. Right? Magical beasts are full of treasures. Let's see if there's anything useful. Having been in the trading market for a long time, Lu Chen had seen people selling magical beast hides and bones, which were tailoring and refining materials. Since they were killed by the sacred lotus sword heart, the corpses of these Tao were almost never intact. The hides and bones probably could not be sold for a good price. However, Lu Chen found a few pearls in their bodies. What are these pearls? Obtained item 5th transformation dragon species beast core. It's a beast core? Lu Chen did not have much need for beast cores now. As long as his divine beasts grew to adulthood, they could fuse into a beast god. There was no need for them to continue growing. However, the beast god still needed to grow in the future. This item would definitely be useful. Lu Chen put all 7 5th transformation dragon species beast cores into his backpack, and picked up a few pieces of meat for cooking in the future. Good. As long as it's not unsolvable, I'll know how to kill it when I see it in the future. Lu Chen heaved a sigh of relief. However, I don't know if it's the same for the 8-tailed beast. It will become stronger after killing it once. If it needs to be killed 8 times, that's a little scary. That Tao Wu that ran away, did it call for help? Forget it. I know how to kill it anyway. The only thing that made Lu Chen's heart ache was that he had to use the sacred lotus sword heart again. The one he used during the Spouse Finding martial arts competition would only be recovered after 4 days. In other words, He could only use the sacred lotus sword heart once during this commission mission. Forget it. It's more important to ensure my safety at that time. After dealing with the polar Taowu, Luqian began to walk back. When he returned to the original campsite, the fire on the ground had been extinguished. However, the two people here were nowhere to be seen. Where are they? Luqian stood on a rock. He could not see the Grand Elder and the woman. He could only see a series of blurry footprints on the ground. Most of them had been covered by the wind and snow. They probably heard the sound of my fight and ran away. I can't just run away with 20,000 cash withdrawal tickets. Thinking of this, Luqian hurriedly chased after the footprints. At dawn, a meteor streaked across the clear night sky. Shui looked at the meteor in a daze. Grand Elder, that cultivator ran away in the end. The Grand Elder walked over. Shui, every man for himself, and the devil takes the hindmost. The human heart has always been like this. Don't worry. Even if I die, I will send you there. Grand Elder, don't die. Shui turned her head and looked at the Grand Elder sadly. Her pair of bright eyes were full of tears and twinkling like stars. The Grand Elder smiled. Okay. I won't die. I still want to see Shui get married and have children. I really don't know which stinking brat has the good fortune to marry our Shui. Grand Elder. Shui dragged her voice coquettishly. Okay. I won't say any more. There's still a long way to go. Let's go. Chapter 781. The wind and snow had completely covered their footprints. Luqian had lost his target. Rhubarb. Luqian called out Rhubarb. Maybe it could find them. Let's see if we can find those two people. The wind and snow were too heavy covering their scent. Even Rhubarb found it very difficult to track them. Woof woof woof. You said you sensed the direction of the treasure, but we're not sure if it was them? Rhubarb had a special sensitivity to treasures, even beyond the scope of smell. Luqian thought for a moment. Those two guys were very mysterious. It was very likely that they had treasures on them. Moreover, there was no one else around. Rhubarb felt that it was them. It should be them. Rhubarb, follow the treasure. Rhubarb wagged its tail and ran to the front to lead the way. Luqian followed Rhubarb. Rhubarb, have you made any progress in comprehending the 9 turns black gold mirror? I see you looking at the mirror every day. Woof woof woof. You still haven't comprehended it? Well, take your time to comprehend it. Be careful of Little Fur Ball. Don't let it eat your mirror. Little Fur Ball, that guy, must be vigilant at all times. A man and a dog moved forward with difficulty in the snow. Luqian didn't know when those two people left. Moreover, they seemed to be in a hurry. Their speed was probably not fast. After chasing for a day, Luqian still couldn't catch up. However, on the way, Luqian saw several waves of corpses of dragon-type magical beasts. There were snow foxes, snow wolves, snow leopards. These corpses were already stiff. The cores of the dragon-type magical beasts had already been taken away. Luqian exhaled a long breath. Suddenly it turned into steam. Fortunately, we didn't meet Bayan. Judging from their size, these magical beasts don't look very strong. How could those two guys run so fast? There was a battle in the middle. Logically speaking, I should be able to catch up with them. In the afternoon, the sun was high in the sky. Unfortunately, the temperature did not rise much. Instead, it became colder and colder. It was also at this time that Luqian discovered that there were some footprints in front of them, which meant that they were not far away. Luqian hurriedly ran to the footprints and examined them carefully. The footprints in front of them were a little messy. They seemed to be a little flustered. There were a few changes in the footprints. Some of them turned back halfway, and some of them seemed to be deliberately covered up. Could it be that they're afraid that I'll catch up to them? So they're deliberately disrupting my judgment? How much do you dislike me? Rhubarb said that they were in the northwest direction, but the footprints on the ground showed that they were heading north. That meant that they had used some tricks to fake the footprints. After careful consideration, Luqian muttered to himself, "There's still 1.5 days before we leave the snow mountain. They shouldn't be guarding against me. Even if they don't like me, they wouldn't deliberately fake footprints to mislead me. If they were about to leave the snowy mountain, they might have misled him in order to escape the rewards. However, they were only halfway through the journey and had yet to encounter the eight-tailed beast. It was impossible for them to spend so much effort just to mislead him. Could it be they've found the eight-tailed beast? The senior granduncle was very strong. The battles along the way didn't take up too much time. Lu Chen estimated that even if he encountered the fifth transformation Swanee, he might not be in such a difficult situation. Therefore, it was possible that they had encountered a powerful magical beast. Thinking of this, Lu Chen's eyes turned cold. Rhubarb, they might be in danger. Let's hurry up. Not long after, Lu Chen saw a huge footprint. The footprint was nearly 10 meters long. It was obviously not human. For plum blossom prints at a time. Eight-tailed snow fox. Lu Chen's eyes widened. Such a huge footprint was much bigger than those of ordinary snow foxes. It was very likely that it was an eight-tailed snow fox. The snow fox's tracking direction was not wrong. It was chasing after the two people. Rhubarb faster. Until nightfall, Lu Chen still hadn't caught up with them. One was chasing and the other was running in front of him. Presumably, their speed would not be slower than his. The higher they went, the stronger the wind and snow. Especially at night, the resistance brought by the strong wind made it difficult to move. The wind and snow made it hard for them to open their eyes. The footprints disappeared again. Lu Chen could only rely on Rhubarb. Rhubarb's physique was not outstanding. Lu Chen simply carried Rhubarb, opened the heaven observation eye, and continued on their way. Looking down at Rhubarb, the dog's head was almost frozen. Lu Chen wrapped it in his clothes, only revealing two eyes. Rhubarb, if you can't hold on, just tell me. Woof woof woof. Rhubarb's condition was still stable. In the fierce wind and snow, a blurry figure could be seen moving against the wind and snow with difficulty. For the 20,000 cash withdrawal coupons, I'm really going all out. At dawn the sky was slightly brighter. The wind and snow had weakened a lot. Lu Chen finally breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, an avalanche suddenly occurred thousands of meters away. A large amount of snow rushed down from the mountain top. At this moment, facing the avalanche, Lu Chen's eyes were about to split open. Damn. I can't stop it. Lu Chen hurriedly looked to the side. Not far away, there was a rock covered in snow protruding out of the mountain. There was a gap under the rock. He didn't even have time to think and directly rushed over with a triple door. A sudden avalanche. Has the battle already begun? Lu Chen was somewhat anxious. However, he couldn't go out at this time. He could only wait for the avalanche to end. Boom boom boom, boom. The avalanche lasted for a few minutes. Lu Chen was directly buried in the snow. Fortunately, the space under the rock was large enough, so his life was not in danger. When the avalanche ended, Lu Chen climbed out of the snow pile. Listening carefully, he did not know where in the distance there were indeed bursts of explosions. They're really fighting. Lu Chen hurriedly used his movement technique and rushed in the direction of the sound. At this time, the corner of the Grand Elder's mouth was bleeding. There was a deep scratch on his chest, and the bleeding was temporarily blocked by an ice spell. Opposite him sat a giant beast. It was a huge snow fox that was 60 to 70 meters tall. The 8 snow-white tails behind it kept swaying. The snow fox sat elegantly, calm and composed, sacred and elegant. The snow fox's red eyes looked indifferently at the two people in front of it. Earth Elementalist? No wonder you can make me activate the 5th transformation. Your strength is not bad. If you were running for your life, it would take me some effort to kill you. However, you have a burden with you. The final result can only be death here together. The snow fox actually spoke human language. The Grand Elder panted heavily. He held the sword in his hand and blocked in front of Shui Air. 8 tails you, why can't you let us go? Let you go? It's not impossible. As long as you leave the girl behind. It doesn't make any difference whether I kill you or not. Impossible. The Grand Elder shouted. Over my dead body. So, if you can't agree to my request, why do you have to make such an outrageous request? Don't think that I can't see that there's something I like on that woman. You're not going to Snow Mountain City. You're going to the ancient Snow Mountain City. You want to revive the ice god? No, you can't do it. Since I've activated the 5th transformation, the game is over. Thousand Fox Phantom Heart Eating. Chapter 782. Thousand Fox Phantom sounded like a displacement skill, but in fact, it was a powerful attack skill. The original body of the 8-tailed snow fox was still sitting there, but its body turned into a shadow and rushed toward the Grand Elder. The illusory figures were extremely fast, and each collision caused a terrifying spiritual attack. Facing the 8-tailed snow fox's killing move, the Grand Elder's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Swear, run! Strengthen Martial God's Fire Scythe Shield Array. The Grand Elder held his scythe spear and danced in front of him. The spear emitted raging flames and formed a flaming shield. At the same time, the Grand Elder threw out a talisman. The talisman was ignited by the flames and instantly strengthened the Fire Scythe Shield Array. This Grand Elder was at least a talisman master and a grandmaster of combat at the same time. Rings of fire shot out and violently collided with the Thousand Fox Phantom. Boom, 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 boom. A series of deafening noises sounded. Every time a ring of fire collided with the Thousand Fox Phantom, it created a ring of air that spread outwards. The violent tremors caused a second avalanche at the peak of the snow mountain. At this moment, the Grand Elder and the 8-tailed snow fox's moves were still clashing. The rings of fire and the illusions of the snow foxes collided with one after another. From the looks of their moves, the two were evenly matched. However, the key was the state of the two users. The 8-tailed snow fox was calm and composed, sitting there as steady as Mount Tai. The Grand Elder's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets, and his face was filled with pain. Grand Elder, your injuries. Shwe roared with heartache. Don't worry about me. Run, I can still delay it for a while. Grand Elder. Run. Otherwise I'll die in vain. The Grand Elder clenched his teeth and desperately held on. Shwe's feelings for the Grand Elder were closer than her own grandfather. But now she had to watch the Grand Elder die in front of her. This pain was hard to accept. Want to run? Do you think she can? The snow fox suddenly said indifferently. If you were in your peak state, you might be able to force me to use my 6th class advancement state. But looking at you, you're obviously holding on by force. I'm only in my 5th class advancement state, and you're already in such a sorry state. We haven't even reached the peak of the snow mountain. Do you think she can run away? After barely blocking the Thousand Fox Phantom, the Grand Elder supported himself on the ground with his sickle spear, panting heavily. His old injury had relapsed, and the situation was worse than he had imagined. His physical strength was rapidly declining, and at the same time, his spiritual energy consumption had doubled. If he could rest a little longer in Southtown City and wait for his injuries to recover, he could at least escape with Shwe again. However, time waits for no one. They had already pushed the departure date to the very end. The enhanced Martial God's Fire Scythe Shield Array was another skill that consumed a lot of stamina. He had already killed the 8-tailed beast 4 times before, and had consumed a lot of stamina. Now that he was facing an even stronger 5 transformation 8-tailed beast, he was really powerless. Hachibi was right. If he didn't kill it, Shwe wouldn't have been able to escape. Taking a deep breath, the Grand Elder stood up straight. His eyes suddenly became extremely calm. Shwe, I can't watch you get married and have children. Granduncle, what are you doing? The Grand Elder had been staring at the 8-tailed beast. The 8-tailed beast can reach 8 transformation at most. Even if I'm in my peak state, I can't defeat it, but I can still hold it back for a while. Shwe, I know you're soft-hearted, but you have to understand that your mission is related to the lives of more people. I can't bear to leave you, but Jyotian is cruel. Listen to the Grand Elder this time, and leave immediately. It's up to fate whether we can escape or not. The 8-tailed beast looked at the Grand Elder indifferently. You're really stubborn. I said she can't escape. How are you going to hold me back? The Grand Elder narrowed his eyes slightly, and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. The corner of his mouth rose slightly. Lu Chen smiled cruelly. What am I going to hold you back? I'm going to hold you back with my life. Martial God, reverse blood return. Swear, run. Don't let me die in vain. The Grand Elder shouted angrily. His figure had turned into a sword light and shot toward the eight-tailed beast. A burst of bloody light burst out from the Grand Elder's body. His eyes were glowing red, and he seemed to have turned into a completely different person. His speed had reached a level where the naked eye couldn't see him. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of the eight-tailed beast. The eight-tailed beast was finally moved. What skill is this? How can the improvement be so great? Swear looked at the Grand Elder's back and was already crying. Reverse blood return could completely unleash a person's potential. All attributes, combat ability, and even the damage coefficient of the skill would be greatly improved. However, such a heaven-defying skill also had a terrifying backfire effect. Every second, Taishu's blood flowed backwards. Taishu had to endure tremendous physical pain every second. Every second the skill lasted, Taishu's chances of survival decreased by a fraction after the skill ended. Just like the name of the skill, reverse blood return. Grand Elder. Shui held back her tears. She knew that this was the Grand Elder's last resort. If she didn't run, then the Grand Elder would really die in vain. The past flashed before her eyes. Ever since she was young, the Grand Elder had taken care of her. Ever since she went into exile, the Grand Elder had risked his life for her countless times. She had already regarded the Grand Elder as a family member who was closer than her parents. If it weren't for protecting her, with the Grand Elder's aptitude, he wouldn't have stopped at earth cultivation. However, no matter how hard the days outside were, with the Grand Elder around, it was the warmest and safest. However, the Grand Elder was finally going to leave. The only thing she could do was to make sure the Grand Elder didn't die in vain. Thinking of this, Shui turned around angrily and ran all the way. Her falling tears turned into icicles in minutes. Oh my God, there's another avalanche. Lu Chun was rushing in this direction and encountered another avalanche on the way. However, after the first avalanche, the situation this time seemed to be much better. Lu Chun ran all the way and rushed out of the avalanche's range. While escaping in a panic, Lu Chun suddenly saw a figure in front of him, moving towards the top of the mountain. It's that girl. Lu Chun hurriedly used continuous displacement and quickly caught up with Shui. At this time, there was only one thought in Shui's mind. She couldn't let the Grand Elder die in vain. She could only run with all her might. She didn't even notice that Lu Chun was close to her. Lu Chun used the triple door and came behind Shui, grabbing her arm. Shui was greatly alarmed at this moment, and she instinctively struck out with her palm. Hey, are you crazy? It's me. Lu Chun hurriedly dodged. Shui's eyelashes were covered with tears. She was in a terrible state. It's you? If it were any other time, Shui would definitely ask Lu Chun why he was here. However, she was devastated and didn't want to care about anything. She didn't ask any more questions and turned to leave. Hey, wait. Where's the Grand Elder? The Grand Elder? Shui's footsteps suddenly stopped. I say, why did you two leave me alone? Do you know how hard it was for me to chase after you? Lu Chun was full of complaints. If it weren't for the fact that Shui was in a daze, he would probably argue with her. Is the Grand Elder stopping the Eight Tails? Lu Chun roughly guessed the situation. Shui nodded while crying. Lu Chun narrowed his eyes slightly. Very good. The Eight Tails finally appeared. Bring me there. Shui was stunned. What was this guy doing? Even as cannon fodder, she had never met such a conscientious person. What are you talking about? Hurry. Lu Chun urged. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.